Hello and welcome to the Hofcast. We are season 2, episode 40, and tonight we have our second annual, what I'll call the State Final Four Eve show. Last year we had 12 coaches on, and this week we have, or this year we have 11. So it's going to be a really exciting show. It's going to be a long, almost 3 hours for me. So if I have to take some water breaks, so I don't die, I'll have to do that. But I appreciate every coach that's coming on with us tonight. And we're actually going to start with Coach Jason Dawson from Worthington Christian. Coach, how are you today? Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm doing well.
Coach, obviously it's a really exciting time to be able to play in the state Final Four. Uh, I haven't seen you guys play. I know several of your players. So I know you guys are
hmm
very talented, but I haven't got a chance to catch you guys this year. Give us a brief synopsis of the growth of your team from game 1 to game 28. How has your team grown into a team that earned a shot to play for the state championship this weekend?
our team is pretty unique. We got some spread scoring within the four girls who's actually played under me for the last 3 years. Megan and Megan are juniors. Blessing and Jada are two seniors, and actually Jada didn't play varsity until last year. But those three have played under me since I've gotten the job, and they just come together. They're really tight knit, and they've kind of pulled our team together and just shown the younger girls how to win, how to compete, how to have energy. So that just kind of got us there. We're just blessed to be here in this situation to possibly win a state championship.
Now, you guys have had to go through in the past teams, like Afrocentric and Cardington, and this was your year. What did it mean to your kids to kind of be that team to beat this year and make it, get over that hump and get the regionals this time?
Yeah, so we actually we were I want to say third seed my first year. We ended up playing Cardington in the district final and losing by two. And then my second year was the first seed, and we went to the bottom rack, and then we played um, Liberty Union in a barn burner for district finals, and that was our goal to win district finals.
Hmm.
This year we was one seed again, and we just took a different route, and we ended up playing Afrocentric, and all games are just tight, and they're just tough games for us, and it's kind of built the confidence. It gave us a little experience with tight games, big games, and now those girls who's been with me for 3 years have literally went through the little a gauntlet, and they're good at under pressure situations.
Give us, I know some of those kids. I know Weekly and Mayot, Blessing King,
hmm
Sarah Custer. For the people who may not have seen you guys before, give us just a brief, quick idea of the players that maybe they should be keeping an eye on this weekend.
Blessing King is definitely a high motor player that colleges should be looking at this weekend. She's unsigned. She's a senior. She has a high, incredible motor. She rebounds the ball. She's a double machine. She's been a double since I want to say her sophomore year. She is now the leading rebounder in our school history. 1,000 point scorer. So she's and a great kid overall. So she's definitely one to look at. And then you got Megan Weekly, who is a sharpshooter, and she shoots pretty well. She hit that shot against Ottawa, and ever since the overtime, and she's just a tough kid who comes from a tough family. The Weeklies have a good name in Central Ohio, she has a good pedigree. And Megan Mayotte, she's just an all around basketball player who's developed her game. She used to be a post, and now she's basically a point forward. Um, she can play make. She can shoot it. She can shoot it. She can shoot it mid range. She can get to the rim. She's a very strong girl. And she helps us out a lot. And she made that pass to Megan uh, when we needed it on time and on target.
Mm-hmm.
So it was great. Then Jamie Custer, she's new to playing varsity, but I mean she's athletic as anybody, and she's finding her groove now. She's knocking down shots, knocking down threes. In the last probably 10 games, she's probably hit 2 threes each game, which has been incredible for us. It's been extra help for our girls, and then her confidence is now building, becoming a young point guard. It's hard because having 4 girls who went to the regional final last year, and you have to come in and be point guard for them. So it's kind of nerve wracking, but she's grown into that role. She's earned their trust, and she's been better each game. So I'm excited for her to play on the big stage. And then you got Jada Taygo, who is an academic specimen. She's going to Northwestern on a full ride, but she gives everything. She's a defensive, just a hound. She's guarded some of the player of the years this year and held them to under 10 points, and she prides herself in that. And she's knocking down the threes as well. She's one of the best shooters on our team also. So she knocks it down, and she's our energy. She's our leader, and she does a lot for us.
Now, I know you got to get off here, and you got busy night. So I'm just going to ask you one more question, Coach. What is one thing that, through the tournament, you obviously know what you're up against. You got Waynedale. I think you guys kick us off tomorrow, first session.
Purcell does, and then we're after Purcell.
Yeah, you're in
the Jets. Yep, the Division
first
3.
session, though. We're going to get you at 2 o'clock. What's one thing that you want to make sure that your team improves on from the last week or so to take that next step?
Man, Waynesdale is a really good team, really good coach team. They shoot the ball like no other. They can shoot the ball, and we just got to be more cognitive of our win and making little mistakes when we get tired. Knowing when to come out and knowing when to close out and keeping our hands high because they can shoot the ball as good as any team I've seen this year. And they play hard, they defend, they get in the gap. So it's gonna be a tough game for us. We've prepared this week pretty well, but you can never know. It's tournament time; anything can happen. So we're just preparing, not only for them but just to be the best we can be.
Yeah. Coach, well, again, I appreciate your time. This is the first time I've talked to you.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking your time to come on with me. And you're in the car. I know you're busy, so
nah, it's okay.
Best of luck tomorrow. We
Yep.
definitely will be keeping an eye on you guys.
Thank you.
All right,
for
Coach.
having me.
Talk to you soon.
All right. See you.
All right, guys. Worthington Christian right there. We had that's Coach Dawson. That team was able to make a move in the tournament after, again, like we said, being behind teams like Cardington and Afrocentric and even Ottawa Glandorf. So exciting for them to make that next step. I don't know what's going on tonight. I'm not able to go live. It's just letting me record. So that's where we're at. I just got to make the adjustments. And so everybody who wants to be watching this, you're not going to be able to see it till after it's done, and I'll post it. I apologize for that. I don't know what's going on, but like I said, adjust on the fly. We'll get through the show, and we'll get it posted. So sorry for any inconvenience. I know a lot of people were excited to watch a show tonight, and obviously I want it to be live all the time. So, you just make in-game adjustments, I suppose. Next, we're going to go to JD Walters from Sheridan, and this is JD, you're not a stranger to the show. You've been on the show with us before last year, so I'm really excited that we're going to get to have you tonight before you head to Dayton. How you feeling, Coach? I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, I'm just excited, ready to play. Tired of preparing. So a lot of preparing when you're getting ready for the Final Four. So it's a quick turnaround got to be kind of ready for 3 teams just in case you win that first one. So obviously the majority of the tension is always going to be spent on your next opponent. But we don't have any copiers or anything available in case you do win the first one, that you got to have something ready to give the girls. So, obviously Norton's a great team, and so that's going to be a big game tomorrow for us. Both teams, it looks like it's going to bring a big crowd, so it should be exciting.
You guys have a little bit of an advantage that you have a day to prepare for the finals if you're fortunate enough to make it through. But you guys have a great tradition at Sheridan, and nobody knows that better than me. I've been watching you guys for years. You've had great players come through there, Rachel Cook, Kendall Mick, several other players, and you haven't been able to, you got there 1 year, I believe, right? You made it to the final once. You made it back through a couple tough regional appearances, and what's different with this team than, let's say, any of the teams that even didn't make it to the Final Four, but particularly the one that did a couple of years ago?
I think the biggest thing is comparing to that 2019 team, we went into that Final Four game and Rachel Cook didn't even get to play. I mean, that was huge for us. She's our all-time leading scorer, and she didn't even get to play in that game. And so, I mean, we lose by single digits to the defending state champs with Zaya Cook on it. Like, I thought we played really well overall that game. This year's team, obviously Bailey, Faith, and Jamison are kind of our big scorers, but then I think we've got a little bit better of 4 or 5 in terms of being able to step up and score. Like Nora Saffel had 13 last game. Hallie Warner's had a couple games this tournament where she scored double figures. So just having a few more extra people that can score when they really do try to take away our big three.
Well, I'm sure Norton is a very defensive oriented team, and they keep people. Sometimes teams don't even get out of the 30s on them. And good teams too. What is the focus for you guys to, I'm sure you've seen some good defensive teams. Tri-Valley is a really defensive oriented team as well. So, what is the emphasis going to be for tomorrow, because you're probably not going to score 60. It's going to be a different type of game. How are you guys preparing for that?
I mean, we've been trying to handle pressure this week in practice a bunch because they just turn people over and turn it into offense. It could be a low-scoring game if neither of the teams are turning the ball over much. And, that's kind of a type of game we played against Highland. It was a real low-scoring game. I'd rather play a game where you're scoring both teams up in the 50s and 60s and it's fun. Or actually, I'd rather win blowouts, but, that's not happening this time of year. So, it's going to be an exciting game. The biggest thing is just not turning the ball over against their press. When they score, they get right into it, or when they even sideline out of bounds and shoot, even off of rebounds, they trap you, and just got to make sure we're throwing the ball to our team, meeting passes, and getting the ball across half court. Once we get across half court, they're still going to bring traps, so pressure never relents, but we got to make sure we don't turn the ball over in the backcourt.
Now, we all know about the big three. Obviously, Bailey Beckstead and the Stinson sisters, they're all phenomenal. The one thing I noticed about you guys at the Classic is you actually have a very solid 4, 5, 6, and 7. Tell me how that group particularly has grown, through the years. I know some of them are freshmen, and then there's a couple sophomores. Tell me a little bit about that group and how they've matured to help you guys get to this point.
Well, somebody like Abby Duper, I mean, she starts for us. This is her second year, and she's not going to light up the scoreboard, but from last year to this year, just her playing off the ball and off of Faith's doubles has really improved, because in the past, teams just would not guard her, and she wouldn't really make herself an offensive threat. Yeah. And this year, she's been diving to the rim, getting putbacks, getting feeds from Faith. And also she's she hit a jumper last game in the regional in the first quarter, which, good for her. And then on top of that, she's better setting ball screens and things like that and pin downs. She's a really good screen setter. So she's just a role player and goes and gets a lot of boards for us. Somebody like Hallie, she typically guards the other team's best player, or at least one of them, which sometimes it's a combo between her and Bailey, just who looks tired at the time, put the other one on them. But no, Nora Saffel, her big thing too has just been slowing down and finishing throughout the season. I think she's done a much better job of catching and finishing. And, a lot of times they're going to be open because they're guarding so much attention on Faith and Jamison and Bailey that those girls are going to get the looks. They just got to take the time and finish them. And I think they've been doing a good job of that recently.
Obviously you have a really solid senior class that means a lot to you. And I know we talked about this down at the Classic, but we can take that a step further now that you have achieved getting to the Final Four. Like, what does it mean to you to take this group from freshmen to seniors, one of the most decorated classes you've had, and be able to finish on top?
Yeah, I mean, it's special to be able to get there twice with one group, like Bailey and Faith. I mean, Bailey started her whole freshman year, and Faith was, she played like over 30 minutes that game. She was basically a starter for us that year. And then on top of that, you got Abby and Kenzie along for the ride that freshman year. So it's just nice. I don't think we've never had a group get twice in 4 years to get there. We were 88, 2004, 2019, and then now. So this is the first time we've ever had in school history any player gets to play in 2 Final Fours. So that's a pretty special moment. And one of our assistants, Jessie, she was actually on the 2004 team, and she's been able to now be a part of this as a coach as well. So that's kind of cool for her.
I know that you didn't win in 2019, but did any of those past teams win the final?
No, all of them lost in the Final Four game. So we've never played in a state championship game. I know we've had several state runner-ups as a school. We've never had a state champion team title since we've consolidated in 1964. I know I coach cross country. We finished second and third. Our track teams finished third. Gymnastics finished second. Golf finished third. We've never won. Football's been to the state title game. So we've never won a state championship in our school history team-wise.
Wow. Now let's talk about Stinson and Beckstead a little bit, because they were big parts of that team when they were freshmen that went to state, and now they're doing it again as a senior. I'm sure you guys have talked about that, probably pretty extensively, how exciting that is, and how have they matured? From kids that were, I'm going to say role players, but they probably were a little bit more than role players even back then. What's their outlook, and how have they changed in their preparation for this time?
I mean, for Faith, I would definitely say her leadership, because she was already maybe, one of the best players on our team back then. She had 16 points, 11 rebounds in the state Final Four game. Bailey was a great defensive player as a freshman. She's turned herself into an offensive, threat for us big time, which that's really, she's put so much work in. I know she's been a lot of your camps and shootouts, and she goes to see Todd Whiteman and does individual skill work with him. He's a former boys coach that does a lot of skill work with good players around our area. But man, she just puts time in the gym. Faith puts time in the gym. Faith has turned herself much more into a outside threat as well. I think her freshman year, she shot around 10 threes. I mean, this year she shot 11 threes last game or something like that. So she hit like 5 threes last game. So she shot as many threes last game as she did her whole freshman year, basically. So she's really morphed into an inside out player. Whereas Bailey, also she's turned herself into a lot better shooter as well. So for Bailey to be able to get 10 assists last game, getting in the paint, finding people, like those two, their leadership really has carried us through the tournament. They stepped up in every big game that we've had so far during the stretch.
Now, as far as your preparation as a coach, obviously when you go your first time, you're a little, probably a deer in headlights. It's a little overwhelming. You don't know what to expect. For you and how you approach this and how you prepare, what's different and what might be the same from 2019?
A couple things. I think the first thing is I just gotta, I'm a little older. I'm not that much older though, but I still gotta relax. All right. Our whole team's got to relax. We went out there and we played, really good defense, but we were just so rushed, and we just could not score the ball early in that game. And that got us in a hole. And, we made a great charge and tied it up in the second, but we used so much energy and we're fouling, and we just got to relax and let the game come to us. And, we got to match Norton's intensity, obviously, but I got to stay relaxed as a coach, and hopefully the girls feed off of that. And having Bailey and Faith and Kenzie and those girls, Abby, those girls that have been here, I think that'll help us a little bit as well. It's also nice. I have my daughter along for the ride now. She's only 6, but she helps me stay relaxed a little bit on the sideline, because I got a little 6-year-old I got to keep reined in, or she'll be out on the court spilling Skittles and stuff.
Coach, you run miles for fun. I don't know how you're going to relax during a basketball game. There's nothing. I guess maybe you run to relax, but to me that makes my heartbeat go through the roof. But
Yeah, I got to find a way to run tomorrow because our bus leaves and we don't have much time to do anything once we get up there. So I'll probably be running before school tomorrow. Get ready.
I don't know if you were down there last year, but there's plenty of room around Dayton Arena just to take a couple laps around the arena, and it'll probably add up to a couple miles. It's pretty big.
Yeah, it's a nice campus. We've gone there for some shootouts. It's a great gym.
Okay. So what does the weekend look like for you guys? What is like a timeline? How are you guys? When are you getting down there? What is the weekend going to look like for you guys?
Well, first off, tomorrow I think we're having like a send off at 9:45. Kind of walk out for our school, and all the people will be out cheering and things. And so we're gonna go up, watch Purcell Marion play that first game against Union Local. Last year we played Union Local. This year we played Purcell Marion. So that's a game of interest for us. And both those teams, we know who they are. And then after that, we're gonna go get a little bit of food, check in at the hotel, and then we're gonna leave the hotel around 4. Try to get back to the gym, and we're staying all the way down in Franklin. We didn't realize we needed to book our own hotel until Sunday, and it was a struggle trying to get hotels because last time we were there, they had us assigned. So yeah,
they don't take care of the hotels. That's got to be a first.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of money too, but yeah. So I mean, it's money we're got to pay, but it was nicer when the OHSA paid. But no, so we're gonna go play our game, and hopefully we're staying and watching that 8:00 game because that would mean we played well and we got past Norton. But either way, we're staying all weekend. Saturday, obviously, it just depends on if you win or lose. But last time we lost that first game, we still stayed all the way through the Division II championship. So we'll be there all weekend, and the girls will get to enjoy some food and hanging out together, just like we did at Classic in the Country. It's a close-knit group of girls.
Yeah, you guys definitely had a heck of a weekend that weekend. What is you've had some pretty close games through the tournament. I mean, the regionals is never easy. You had a 1-point win. I think it was against Vinton County. Is that right? Or maybe
John Glenn. All the other games have been 25 plus, but John Glenn was a 1-point game, and Faith hit a free throw with 1 second to go.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
looking at that game particularly, what are some things that you've kind of told your kids? Like, listen, these are things that we need to tighten up before we head down to the Dayton.
I mean, it all comes down to, for us, I mean, rebounding and then foul trouble. And those two kind of go hand in hand. That game against John Glenn was the only game we've been out rebounded recently. And I know Norton, they won by 20 rebounds the last game, according to the newspaper. So that's going to be a big key in the game, I think, tomorrow is rebounding the basketball. And that's always our number one goal. We can't give Norton second chances. We've got to make sure we secure the ball and get clean outlets. But rebounding the basketball is absolutely going to be key. That hurt us against John Glenn. And then other than that, we got to get the ball inside out because John Glenn, we were just chucking threes and not making them. We had advantages inside. We just weren't throwing the ball in. We got to make sure we play inside out, whether it's off the dribble or getting the ball into Faith. We got to get the ball inside. So get the ball inside, rebound. And then the only other thing was just foul trouble. Bailey and Faith both sitting on the bench, like most of the first half, it seemed like. And it's just, that's huge when you have 2,000-point scorers out of the game. We got to make sure we're playing fundamental defense and checking out and not fouling.
Now you talked about trying to keep yourself relaxed. How do you keep the kids relaxed? I know that's probably a bigger challenge than keeping yourself relaxed. Is there something that you go to all the time, or is this different? But how do you kind of keep the kids level-headed? And it obviously is a big game, but you got to be mentally prepared as well. How do you go about doing that?
I mean, I always try to tell them, like, every game is no different than any other game in terms of what you got to do. I mean, we set the same goals of rebounding the ball. We talk about the things that we try to do every game, and hopefully the similarities help them out a little bit and keeping a routine. In terms of personalities on our team, I think we have some people that are really pretty loose, and Jamison gets a little high strung at times, but she's so loose and just she'll get frustrated at times. So just trying to keep everybody's head right. And Faith is pretty even keel, and Bailey's pretty good about that as well. And then same thing with a lot of our girls are actually better than I am about staying calm. So it's just knowing who the girls are on our team and trying to tell them to stay positive and keep the RMA, right mental attitude. That's a theme at Sheridan. It's been there since Coach Culver, legendary coach for us. He had that as his mantra for all the years that he coached football. He just passed away. And so kind of living this playoff run right in his passing. And so that RMA is kind of going through our community and it's reinvigorating what's going on right now with us. So just trying to keep everybody's attitude positive.
I know one thing that I really like about Sheridan, and I mean, there's several things. Like I said, I've had a rooting interest in Sheridan for several years, but the Becksteads or Bailey and her dad are someone that I always talk to. I spend a lot of time with. Same thing with the Stinsons. You guys have a really good community following, and you have parents and people that really support the program. Like, how does that benefit you guys? And, what is that like to be able to go through this knowing that you got the full support of so many people?
Well, the parent support's really, really, really critical because they're the ones that trust me with their kids so often throughout the year. And on top of that, they're willing to put the time in to go with their kids to all these tournaments that they play in the summer. I mean, playing in the AAU circuit and going to Louisville and going all over the country really is tough, and it takes money to do that. And they invest in their kids, and just having the community support is important as well. I mean, our superintendent gave us a 2-hour early out so our students can make it to the game tomorrow. We have fan buses with teachers willing to ride a bus for 2 hours with high school kids.
Wow.
Not a lot of teachers would want to volunteer to do that. And so I know Norton has a great community as well, but Sheridan is a close-knit community. And a lot of people, I know I'm new to the community. 14 years ago, I moved in to teach there. But a lot of kids, once they get here, they don't really leave the area, whether it's just to another MBL school, they might go here or there. But a lot of the kids have people that have lived around this area for a long time. So that is nice having a close-knit community like that.
Well, Coach, I really appreciate you coming on. I know this is a very exciting and busy time for you. Your opponent is coming on after you, so I'll give you just a warning. Don't challenge the coach because Brian Miller is much bigger than you. I know who will win that matchup. So
yeah, I got a bum elbow too. I'm not trying to get any scuffles here. So, but good luck to Coach Miller from Norton. So good luck, and see you guys tomorrow.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Good luck.
All right, thank you.
All right. Again, Coach Walters from Sheridan, great guy. Again, that's not his first time on the podcast. He's been on a couple times before. So, exciting for them to make it back to Dayton. Again, a lot of tradition in that program. He's got a lot of wins there. They've had a lot of success. So I'm looking forward to seeing that game tomorrow. And like I said, we're going to follow that up with Coach Brian Miller from Norton, who, again, is not a first timer on this show. He was on here about a month and a half ago. Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Not bad. I know you're a little closer to the my prediction of 100 league wins that I gave last time. But more importantly, you made the breakthrough, and you guys are going to state for the maybe not the first time. I don't know the whole history of Norton, but you
third
guys
time.
have had third time?
Yep, 86 was the last year.
Okay. So first time for you for sure.
Right.
What was that feeling like? I know you've had a lot of great teams that made it to regionals many times. You finally made that breakthrough, got a couple really tough wins against great teams, and here you are. Just kind of go through that at Barberton with us, how that felt for you.
Always a great feeling anytime you can make the Final Four. I'm a firm believer trying to win a district championship is not an easy task in itself. Yeah. And just to do that and make the regional round, what a feeling. And the toughest part about when you win a district is the emotion of winning a district title. A lot of teams are so excited that they won something, right? And it's a great honor. And then you get the regionals, and it's kind of like, who's the team that can bounce back in that regional semifinal game? That's kind of the key. Who can move on from winning the district title. And certainly the more times you win it, the easier it is to do. So we've been able the last few years, obviously, to get to that regional final game. And, that's the next step. You have to get there in order to win it. And I think our experience the year before really helped us in that game. I mean, we dominated pretty good in our regional final game. We were, the kids played hard. They did exactly what we wanted them to do. And, it's a great opportunity to come down to Columbus, Dayton, and go against a traditionally rich basketball girls program in Sheridan. And the winner gets, again, a tradition-rich girls basketball program. So there's no easy games. We haven't had any easy games. Mm-hmm. We've always been the lowest, quote, ranked team in all of our games that we've been playing. No one really gave us a lot of hope to get out of that regional, but I always believe beginning of the year, and you know this as well as anybody, that our projections are always to try to get to the Final Four. And, getting Bailey Accord back certainly was a big bonus for us in the tournament. She's a difference maker.
Yeah.
And as you saw against Salem, she just does everything. She fills a bucket up with anything. And not just points, but assists, steals, blocks, rebounding. She had 9 rebounds. Active on the floor. So what a huge lift for us.
And again, we're with Coach Miller from Norton. I know you're down there in Dayton already, so I really appreciate you coming on with me. Again, we all know that Norton is a defensive-minded team. My question is, you've done it with not a whole lot of size quite often, and I know you're not real big this year. There's not like Division I kids coming through Norton, and you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep winning. What is it about these Norton teams that without, those couple things that are very beneficial to have, you still get the job done? What is it about the Norton Panthers?
Look, these kids all come from my youth program. I don't have kids that come from other schools. We build from within, and everything that we do is started at the age of 5-6 years old. And these kids come up and they're used to seeing the older kids win and be successful. And it's, like any tradition, when you're used to winning, you come to high school, you're the next group, who's next? Our philosophy has always been, when we graduate seniors, who's next, and you've seen the Housley and Kelsey Hosey group and all that. And everybody was like, wow, he graduated 8 seniors. Yeah. And what are the odds of Norton even making back to districts, right? And we came right back the following year and won a district title and, got the regionals again. So there's no excuses in our program. That's just the way it's been. I got great kids. They work hard. They want to win. They love being in the program, and they love the things that we do. And this is kind of like a culmination for us to be able to finally get here. And it's from the kids that we had in the previous 19 years I've been here. We know our philosophy is we're playing for you. We're playing for that number. We're playing for the girl that wore that number before you. And these kids know that they're not just out here for themselves. They know they're playing for a lot of people, and they're ready and anxious to play tomorrow night. I got to kind of calm them down a little bit because they're fired up. They're ready to play. So,
they play for you, so I know they're fired up.
Oh, they're fired up.
Here's a question I have, and it. I know that you guys are, again, a defensive-minded team, but is that something that you guys want to continue to try to win low-scoring games, or has there ever been a time where you said, "Hey, we need to figure out how to score some more points," or are you just going to say, "Guys, we're gonna suffocate other teams, and this is how we're going to win it"?
Listen, I don't play. I want to play up and down. We want to score more. Mm-hmm. When you get in a tournament, the philosophy changes a little bit. When you get ahead, like we've done, when we get ahead of these teams, they realize the struggles they have with what we do, and they have a tendency to go play zone. And I end up just holding the ball because I'm like, come play. Yeah. I don't need to come play your zone.
Yeah.
It's a tournament. I'm just trying to win the game now. I don't need to throw up 80 points to beat you. If I have to throw up 35, I'll throw up 35. It's kind of what the game dictates for us a little bit. I got kids that can score. But, Rich, in our league, and we build such big leads a lot of times. A lot of my frontline players, they never get to play more than 14 minutes a game.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I'm not the team that's going to throw up 80 points because I pull them. When you're ahead 25, 30, why are you? I don't need to play my best players. I let the other kids play. I don't need to win by 60. I just want to play the game and let kids play. And I've always been an advocate of playing a lot of kids, and it makes it more fun for them. And if we need to go score, we'll try to score more. I'm not saying we will, but it's not like I don't have girls that could easily be averaging twice as much if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But I got great kids. They're not interested in blowing teams up. They don't like that. We'll play hard, but we're not out to ever embarrass anybody. So stats don't really matter to me a whole lot.
Now, and I know that the community of Norton is really behind you. I like asking this question because it's always fun to hear, different coaches, how they approach things. But what is the weekend looking for you guys? I know you're down there right now, but, what's the plans? How long have you been down there? There's more than obviously you want to go to win the game, but this is a big time thing. What is the weekend looking like for you guys?
Well, we left today. We had a great send off by our community. The schools all had signs, and the little kids were everywhere. And, like a lot of communities across the state of Ohio today, they're all, fired up with the kids. And, we got on that bus and I drove down to Sheridan High School, and I wanted to go on their floor and shoot a basket, but they wouldn't let us in. We just had to keep going. No, I'm just teasing. But, it's always fun to get down a day early just to settle in. That's what we did. We're down here going through a shoot around right now, and eat some dinner and trying to maintain the same patterns that we've been doing a little bit with what we've, been out here doing. And just a fun time for them, trying to keep them loose, have some fun together, laugh a little bit, and, just make sure that they understand that when we step out tomorrow, you don't worry about what's outside the black lines. You only worry about what's inside of them. And that's an opportunity to get to to play Sheridan and hopefully beat them and then move on to the state championship game. That's a goal of any kid, really.
Coach, I want to ask you specifically because, again, you've been to regionals multiple times. And I know getting to this point, it's huge for you guys. What is the message to the team that, we are happy to be here, but we don't want to be satisfied with this. Like we want to get after it and we want to win.
The nice part about it is they're not satisfied. They celebrated winning a regional, but the next day, a lot of them were in the gym right away, getting shots up. They understand, opportunity for them only comes around once if you're a senior right now, right? And this is it. They don't want their season to end. So they want to practice again, on Friday. And I told them, I said, well, you have to prepare. We have to keep preparing. And I gave them that one day of enjoyment, and it was back to, listen, we're focused, and this is what we're doing, and this is how we're going to do it. And we're going down there to win, and you got to have that mentality right now. You got to start preparing like it's a district semifinal game. Like if we lose, our season's over. And we're so used to not losing that game that we know how to continue it. So their preparation's good. I know we're ready to play because of how we're acting. I know my team pretty well. And, I can kind of tell through the laughter and the giddiness of them a little bit that usually when they're like this, they're pretty free-spirited and they're ready to roll.
All right, Coach, last question. I know you're busy. Again, tough regional. You made it out. A couple low-scoring games. Tremendous wins against West Branch and Salem. What is one thing that you've kind of told the team, this is something that we have to get better at before Thursday if we want to win this semifinal?
Just that we just got to continue to get better on defense. I know you're going to kind of giggle at that, but ultimately the goal is to shut people down. And we had a few mistakes here and there, but in the end, we're going to get after it. And I just told them, listen, all right, we need to focus. We need to follow the game plan. We need to follow the scouting reports, do what we've been doing. And again, we don't need to play great. We just need to play a good, solid basketball game. We're going to make some mistakes. Everybody's going to make errors. It's what are you going to do when you make the error? Are you going to pout or are you going to sprint back and defend? And that's what we've been doing. So, and that's what we're practicing on right now. Getting back and not pouting and not feeling sorry for yourself. Just keep playing. That's all you can do at this point. And certainly, it should be a good battle between two quality programs tomorrow night.
Well, Coach, again, thank you so much for coming on. I know your time's valuable tonight. If I don't see you this weekend directly, I'll see you soon in the summer. I know I've picked against you guys sometimes on Twitter. You either don't see it or don't give a damn. One of the two.
I laugh.
I know that. So
hey, don't feel bad. You're not the only one that does it. So that's all right.
But I did text you before the final, and I said I have a feeling this is your time.
You did
respond to me, but
because I
had a good
great
feeling
karma with you. I never responded to you on the other one, so I'm like, I'm not going to do it now. So I'll wait till afterwards. But I knew I'd eventually catch up with you. So
good luck.
Good times. It's a lot of fun, obviously. Anytime you can take a group of girls or boys, down to the Final Four, it's always a great achievement in any program. And I don't care how many times you go. Each year's different because you have a different group of kids.
Yeah.
And it's special for that group. So for this group to be the first team in 36 years, obviously our boys team's never been to the Final Four. We have a good history in girls basketball, and this is just another piece of the puzzle that we're adding to it. So it's been a lot of fun, and the girls are having a great time.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck this weekend, and I'm sure I'll be catching up with you.
Fantastic. We'll see you, bud. Have a good day.
Right, see you. Bye. Coach Brian Miller there from Norton. Again, they've made several trips to regionals in the last couple of years, and this was the year that they made the breakthrough, and I'm really happy for them, and I'm excited for that Sheridan-Norton game tomorrow night. It's going to be a team that scores a lot of points against a team that don't give up a lot of points, so it's going to be fun to see how that game goes. We are moving now to the D1 level, and we got another newbie on our hands. Coach Anthony Butch from Jackson, who led Jackson to their first appearance in the Final Four. Coach Butch, thanks for coming on with me. How are you doing tonight?
Good, Rich. How are you?
Good. I'll make sure I let you know if anybody's peeping through your window behind you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Coach, how's the week been for you guys? I know you came off a really high up there in Medina with those 2 wins in the regionals. What has the week been like for you guys?
It's been awesome, actually. The support that we have received from our community has been incredible. We put some Spirit shirts on sale. We sold over 500 in a matter of 24 hours.
Wow.
We thought we might be able to take a Spirit bus of kids. We ended up filling 2 Spirit buses, I believe 100 students. It's awesome. I couldn't be happier for the kids and the buzz that's in the community. It's a little overwhelming on the coaching side with, the game prep and all the things that I had no idea go into a state trip logistically, but that's a good problem to have. And I couldn't be happier for our kids.
Now, obviously, again, first trip to the state Final Four. I've gotten to talk to you. I mean, let's face it, you're one of my good friends. So we talk quite a bit, and we talk off the record about other stuff. And I know that there was some times this year that the feeling wasn't great, and you guys made it through that. And again, I've asked you this question before, but now that you were able to look back on it after winning the regional, what was the biggest factor in kind of turning your season around from, having 4 or 5 losses in the first month or so to making a big run to the state Final Four?
The turning point was after our St. V's loss. Had double-digit lead in the second half and squandered it away, and I believe that was our fifth loss of the year. And we had a closed-door meeting that Sunday night. It was Martin Luther King. There was a pending snowstorm coming, and it was a pretty animated conversation. There were some tears shed, and I thought we were at a fork in the roads there. We either really fired our kids up or we lost them completely after that. And then the snowstorm hit, and we didn't see our kids for 2 days after that. So we were sitting there wondering, what's going on. And from that moment on, it's been a different team. We beat undefeated Stowe. We beat Federal League champion Glen Oak, and then we beat Brush in a matter of like 10 days. We won those 3 games, and that's when you started seeing the potential that we all knew we had at the beginning of the year. And like you said, we talk a lot, and there were high expectations around this group, and we weren't shy about that. And when you have 6 losses, it's disappointing. And for them to recover like this and to go on a run like this, and to achieve the things that we thought were potentially capable of doing, it's cool and it's rewarding. And if they had a better head coach from the beginning, they probably would have won a few more games during the regular season.
Now, and I texted you about this during the tournament draw. You chose to go to Perry and play, eventually, hopefully play against a Glen Oak, a team that you battle with every year. And I thought that was kind of crazy, particularly trying to play against Glen Oak in the finals. But also, Perry High School has not been very pleasant to you guys. How important was that you guys went into that challenge, you came out successful, and quite honestly, left no doubt? Like, was that a point where you guys thought, well, we really swept through this district and it wasn't even a challenge? I mean, you probably disagree, but I was at the Glen Oak game. It was really never in doubt. Was that a confidence booster for you guys?
Yeah, so the Perry gym, we definitely had some demons there. We, it was the gym Lauren got hurt in. It was the gym that we got embarrassed in the districts against Hoover when we were 20-2. Mm-hmm. And then 2 weeks before the tournament draw, we lost to Perry. So we had a closed door locker room where I gave everybody a piece of paper and I just asked them, on your own, I want everybody's individual opinion. Is there any small ounce of you that thinks that there is something, that you guys don't want to play in the Perry gym? And I gave every single kid a piece of paper and I just put right yes or no. And I collected all 12 pieces of paper back and every one of them said no. And then from that point forward, we said, do you trust us to put you guys in the best position? And they all said yes. And we asked for some of their thoughts and opinions too. And by and large, it was pretty mixed, like they didn't care. And we thought that if us and Glen Oak went in the same bracket, that between, Glen Oak's ridiculous success the last 5 years and then where we, thought that people thought of us, that our district might be a little lighter than if we would have jumped in one of the other two. And that's pretty much how it played out. I mean, you got the 2 and the 5 seed in one bracket, and then everyone else kind of went in the other 2. And it even probably played out a little bit better as far as the, seeds dispersing, and it's good for the Federal League to all spread out. And the Federal League success in the tournament was incredible.
So at least I wasn't crazy. There was some skepticism there. First thing I thought of, but you guys obviously came out very strong there. Tell us a little bit. Again, I'm very familiar with the team, obviously, but give us a quick Reader's Digest, rundown of the kids that we're going to see on the court this weekend. Obviously, you got Mason, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But, who are the kids that we should be keeping an eye out for? Well, I know who they are, but people who haven't seen Jackson.
Sure. So our point guard, Hallie Ignacio, she's going to Mount Union. She's one of our 2 senior starters. Dynamic defender, really made some huge plays in this tournament run that don't show up in the box score. Both, her defensive efforts on Breezy and Bree Hunt and the passing in the regional final was just unbelievable. Then you got our other senior, Emma Drecke, 3, more than likely should be 4-time All-State, 4-time Federal League, 3-time first team, 1,000-point scorer, going to Walsh. She just does it all. I mean, she in the tournament, took a backseat a little bit to the scoring role that she's been in for 4 years, but she's rebounded and defended, just some incredible kids between Zeeler and Haddad for St. Joe's and Weir in the districts. I mean, her defense has been off the charts. You have our 2 juniors, Lena Patabandala and Lauren Pilata, which most people across the state know, both Division I recruits, both with numerous Division I offers, 2 different styles of play. Lauren's your super athletic combo guard, and Lena's the Swiss Army knife. She does everything. She really had an incredible regional, carried us at spurts when we were kind of in a rut. Made some huge shots in the green and St. Joe's games. And then our 5th starter is sophomore Megan Campbell, who probably is one of our most improved kids. Really good knockdown shooter, only a sophomore, and is somebody that I think could be pretty special here these next 2 years.
And again, you mentioned some of those kids have had outstanding tournaments so far, and I only have you for 15 minutes, so we don't really have time to go into all that. But Patabandala obviously played a tremendous game in the semifinals, had her best game of her career. Ignacio, I completely agree, has done some great things that aren't going to show up in a box score. If there's one person who was singing the praises of Megan Campbell long before now, it was me. So you guys obviously have Mason. I view Kyla Oldacker as the most dominant player in Ohio, regardless of position. What is the approach there? I mean, you obviously don't have a 6'5" post player that's going to, go body to body with her. How are you guys kind of approaching that game with that kind of interior force on the opposing team?
Yeah, I mean, she's incredible. We watched some film, and it's like a kid playing with toys at times. I mean, she catches the ball, and I mean, it doesn't matter if you got 1 or 4 on her. I mean, she's going to score. So it's more keeping her, in positions that she can't just, turn and do the moves that she likes to do and have bodies on her. But if you think she's going to score 0 points or 2 or 4 points, it's probably not realistic. So you go into the game knowing that, she's going to get hers, and we got to be smart with, not getting in foul trouble and containing her when we can, no second chance baskets. That's more our focus versus, keeping her from scoring, because when you're that size with a team against like us that has essentially 5 guards that we start, it's going to be a game of 2 different styles, because I think on the flip side, we're going to do some things that hopefully give them some trouble as well, just in a different sense versus what Kyla's going to bring.
What is the experience going to look like for you guys when you're going down there? What I know you said you have the community support. You're going to take a couple buses down. What is the weekend plan for you guys? And, obviously the games are always the most important part, but it's a great experience for these kids. What's it going to look like for you guys?
We have a dinner tomorrow night, a little send-off celebration dinner. We're going to sleep in our own beds. We had some debate going down Thursday night or Friday morning, and we're going to have a state send-off at our school Friday morning. The whole school is going to do a little rally of sorts when we head onto the bus. Goal is to be in Dayton by noon, have a good meal. Wright State is hooking us up with the facility to have a little walk around and walk through, shoot around, get our legs going. And then we're going to treat it just like we were heading to North Canton. I mean, it's about a 20-minute bus ride from Wright State to Dayton. And we're going to keep things as normal as we can as far as the routine goes. Get to the arena a little bit early, get our surroundings and our bearings, and get ready to go. I mean, I don't think the 3-hour bus ride same day, I don't really believe in that. We've made the Notre Dame trip to South Bend every summer for 6 straight years. We get off the bus and we're playing in 2 hours, and we always play very well. So I felt pretty strongly about sleeping in our own beds and keeping the routine as normal as possible versus a hotel and all the things that could go wrong there.
I kind of agree with you. I mean, you guys will be down there in plenty of time. I don't know off the top of my head if you play at 6 or 8, but either way, you got several hours in there, especially if you're going to get a walk through and a shoot around in. Coach Butch, what's one thing that you've kind of been preaching to your kids here the last couple of days that, this is the 1 or 2 things that we really got to improve on to make this next step?
I mean, I don't know about X's and O's. I mean, they have it all at this point. There's nothing that me or Gary or any of our assistants are going to, wave a magic wand and change. We got a game plan in place. The main message is no regrets. No matter what happens, whether we've said it at the regionals and we'll say it again tomorrow. I mean, leave it all on the court. Make sure you know that scouting report inside and out. Make sure you visualize. And then whatever happens on the court, will take care of itself. And if we end up on the wrong side, you can lay your head down and know that you gave it your all, but don't have anything in the back of your mind thinking, what if or what could have been.
Now, the big question is, are Frankie and Jackie going to be there? I know sometimes they go to games, sometimes they don't. They're still pretty young. Are the youngsters going to get to experience this or no?
Hey, Frankie, come here, buddy. Come here, buddy.
You better not bring Frankie on. He's got better hair than you.
Yeah. Come on, buddy. Come say hi. It's almost bedtime. Come on. Come say hi to Uncle Rich. Say hi, Uncle Rich.
Hey, buddy.
Say hi. Yeah.
More, he's trying to really look like you.
Yeah. What sound does a polar bear make?
I'm guessing that's a yes. He's going to be there.
He's going to be there. And then say happy birthday to my wife. It's her 30th birthday today.
Oh, Taylor, happy birthday.
Thank you.
30th birthday. So, Rich, you're cutting away from birthday celebration and bedtime here. So,
and you still look like 24, Taylor.
Yep, they're coming, and we're gonna bring them down. It's special time for our family, so I think they should be there.
Awesome. Coach Butch, thank you for coming on again. I know this is a very busy and hectic couple days for you, so thank you for making the time. And obviously, best of luck this weekend. We'll be seeing you.
Anything for you, Rich, and I hope we still get the time to step away during states and get that annual Federal League preview that you always give us.
Oh, man. Hey, man, we'll talk to you for real. Good luck.
All right. See you, Rich. Thank you.
Bye. Congrats to Coach Butch and Jackson. Again, first-time trip down to Columbus, so very exciting for them. Tough division. Hoover's got a state title. Glen Oak's been down there several times, has state titles. McKinley has state titles. So they kind of just add to the strength of the conference and get their first trip down there. So we're going to move on down to the Cincinnati area, and we're going to visit with Division III Purcell Marion coach Jamar Mosley. Coach, thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Rich?
Man, I am excellent. You may be the person that's appeared on my podcast the most. I don't know that I can. I mean, I would have to go back and do the adding up, but this may be your fourth time on here in 40 episodes. That's a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate you having me on here, man. Anytime I got the time and I can get on here, I'm more than willing to do so. I appreciate you having me.
You're welcome. And again, I know this is a very crazy time for you. So special thanks for coming on. I appreciate you making the time for me. You may or may not have seen this on Twitter. You probably did. You may have not have. 2 months ago, I said Purcell Marion is going to be our D3 state champions. So my one prediction is still alive. What is it taking for you guys to get? Obviously nothing's easy. No matter what the score says, it's always a challenge to prepare and play against a different team and on short notice. What is different about this team than last year's team that made it to the state semifinals?
Man, to be honest with you, our consistency. With our youth, I wasn't sure how consistent we would be throughout this entire year. And if somebody would have told me that we would have been able to be this consistent, I would have asked them, "Are you crazy?" And just like I said, with us start at the beginning of the season, the first game of the season, we started 4 14-year-olds in our very first high school basketball game. And throughout the season, some other girls worked their way into that rotation. And for the most part, starting 3 14-year-olds, a 15-year-old, and a 16-year-old. But, I think our hard work won. But then just our consistency on a day-to-day basis, whether it's a practice, whether it's a game, I've pretty much known once we got to January, I was like, okay, this is the team that we are. Like we were just so consistent, and I think that's what's gotten us to this point. I think that's the biggest difference with the team that we had last year. The team that we had last year, we'll score 60 points one game and win, and then we'll score 29 points the next game and win 29-19. So I just didn't know what I was going to get day in and day out offensively from my previous teams. This year, I mean, we led at least Southwest Ohio. I'm not sure about the entire state, but we led Southwest Ohio in points per game at 70 points a game.
Yeah. Well, you guys, and I don't know your schedule up and down, but I do see quite a few games on Twitter. It seems like you guys are, even in the tournament, are quite frankly stomping people. Like it's a lot of games aren't even close. Is there a concern of yours that, you know, maybe you haven't played enough close games in case you get into a dogfight, and, you know, how these young kids might respond to that? Or, you know, how do you kind of view that?
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with somebody earlier this afternoon about that. I was like, not just the girls, I may forget how to coach in a close game. I said, we haven't had a close game in over a month and a half. Now, when I say close, the final score, I think the Waynesville game was a little closer than the score said at the end. But however, I mean, that was our closest game. That was a 21-point win. And I'm just hoping that I don't forecast us winning a game by 20 points tomorrow. So with that being said, I'm just hoping that if we get to that fourth quarter, that the end of the third quarter, and it's a close game, that our youth does not show. I think that's my biggest concern, is our youth hasn't showed all year, but with the environment that we're going to be in, it's going to be over 2,000 people in the gym tomorrow. We're going to be playing on a college floor. Their fans are going to have our fans outnumbered. I'm just hoping that with all those things being said, I'm just hoping that our youth does not show up in tomorrow's game at some point.
Now, I know we've talked about this last year's state title run. We weren't as close last year, but we had, you know, talked some, and we've talked a lot more since then. You know, I'm close with those Highland coaches, and they had nothing but great things to say about you. And I know that I've told you that, and we've talked about that. And you know, does something like that give you confidence that, you know, somebody who's been at the top for years and years, not only did you guys take them to the brink last year, but they had all the confidence in you moving forward into this year. Is that something that really kind of propels you guys, your confidence, or, you know, how does that register with you?
You know, after right after the game, their coaches came up to me and had nothing but great things to say about myself and our program. And throughout this season, I mean, we played Sheridan, who's playing in the state Final Four. We played Bishop Hartley, who's playing in the state Final Four. We played Cincinnati Country Day, who's playing in the state Final Four. I mean, we played some teams. And after the game, the conversations that I've had with those coaches, including Berlin Highland from last year, just the compliments that they gave our program, to answer your question, it does give me confidence in my team and confidence in my staff of that we are doing the things the right way. I mean, those are some well-respected coaches in our state, if not our country, that has nothing but good things to say about the way we're doing things over at the Castle of Purcell Marion.
I generally ask teams and coaches, like, when you back-to-back years, like, what's different from this year than last year? But truthfully, you guys are almost a completely different team. I mean, and I actually talked to Coach Kuzi from Highland this week, because, you know, a couple of those teams, maybe all the teams in this Final Four, have reached out to them for their tape last year. And he's like, I told these guys, you ain't going to get anything from that tape. Like, they're a completely different team.
Yeah.
You know, so knowing that you do have a considerably different team, you know, what is different? What gives you a better chance this year to come out as a champion than last year? obviously besides the different personnel?
Excuse me. Like I said last year, we would score 60 points one game. The next game we'll score 30. And I mean, we did a good job of winning basketball games, but offensively we weren't as gifted as we were this year. I think last year we were a lot better defensively in the half court. I think we could be exposed. I think we were exposed sometimes throughout the season this year in our half court defense. But we've had 6 girls score 20 or more points. We've had 3 girls score 30 or more points this year. So the firepower we have offensively, I think that's the biggest difference in our team. Yeah. I mean, everybody knows who D. Alexander is, but first game of the season, Trinity Small, a freshman no one ever heard about, goes off for 17 points. We're in the journey to the tourney, playing against Newark, who was in a Division I state championship. Sierra Miller, freshman, scores 21 points against a Newark team. Then we go out 2 games later, and Jada Mosley, who saw the floor a little bit last year as a freshman, comes out 2 games later and hits 11 threes in a single game. Yeah. I mean, I think our offensive firepower is what separates us from our team last year. I mean, in the first 5 minutes of that game against Berlin last year, I think the score was 8-2. Yeah. I think at the end of the first quarter, I think it may have been 12-4 or something like that. And besides the who was a Waynesville game where we only scored 5 points in the first quarter, like I said, we're averaging 70 points a game. I think the fewest points we scored this year was 52, where we averaged 47 points a game last year.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
What did you learn as a coach? Like, obviously last year was your first trip up to Dayton in the Final Four. What did you learn? How are you going to kind of guide the team differently, or what, as far as preparation, what did you as a coach learn just about the whole process last year and able to adjust this year?
I think the biggest thing, and just listening to Coach Butch, I was just listening to Coach Butch. One of the biggest things is I think we did some things that we didn't do prior to the game. And just because of the state Final Four, we changed up a couple things. And I think we just took the same approach, whether it's the first game of the season, whether it's the senior night or whether it's the state Final Four game. We got to keep our consistency. We got to make sure we're doing everything that we've been doing throughout the entire year. Then the other thing is, I think myself and the girls, I think we kind of got caught up in the moment last year. So that's the biggest thing that I've been talking to our girls about this entire week is don't get caught up in the moment. I don't care if we're down by 1, up by 1, down by 50, or up by 50 in the first game or the final game. We got to make sure we're doing everything that we're used to be doing. We cannot get caught up in the moment regardless of the situation. So to answer your question, I think it's just being consistent with everything we're doing on and off the floor. Then just don't get find ourselves being caught up in that moment.
Now, I only got you for a couple more minutes, and I can't go through every kid, but the one kid I do want to ask is obviously D. Alexander is the number 1 kid in the class in the country. As a freshman, what does her maturity and her growth look like this year? Starting from day 1 to now, like how has she grown? Even though she's the best player in the country, from a coach's perspective, how has she grown for you throughout the season?
Man, she is just she's one of those. She's a sponge, and I say that to say so. Some people may know, some people may not know. The game that we lost this year was the Summit Country Day. Yeah. I sat D, and it could have been too harsh of a punishment, but D turned in an assignment late. And I wanted her to know, and I wanted our team to know, like, no matter who you are, like, you're going to follow what we do. So D just turned in an assignment late. I sat her the first half of that game against Summit Country Day. So we're down by 12 at the end of at the half, and I mean we come back and they end up beating us by 2 that game. But we go into that locker room and I asked D, I said, "What did you learn from that game?" And in front of her teammates, she said, the decisions that I make will not only affect me, it affects everyone around me. So that statement on December 4th just meant so much to our program. that single statement, I think everybody realized, like, well, he's setting the number one player in the country for just turning an assignment late. Like, if she can get it, I know I can get it. And I think that just really settled in with our program. And I mean, just even the regional championship game where we're playing our opponent, and throughout the entire game, everyone's just yelling overrated. So we win the basketball game. Their fans stick around. She goes up to cut the net down. They're still yelling overrated. She just gets up on the ladder, turn around, just laugh, get back down, and carry on with her day. Yeah. And just to see the way she carries herself, it just means, like, I tell her all the time, like, I care more about Dariana Alexander than I do D. Alexander, the basketball player. Like, like I said, I mean, she's just so humble and carries herself in a way that I don't think that many kids with her ceiling, with the offers that she have, would carry themselves. Like, she's just a special kid. Like I said, she's a sponge. She soaks everything in that she's being taught on and off the floor.
Sounds excellent, Coach. That's not very common. I mean, most people treat their best player as, with more leniency than the other kids. So, I mean, that obviously set the tone for your team. I want to thank you for coming on. I know it's a really, really busy night for you, and you guys get after it tomorrow. So you lead us off at 12 o'clock, and I'll be there. I'm ready to see you guys play. Hopefully I run into you, but best of luck, and I'm excited to see you guys.
Sounds good. I appreciate you, Rich.
No problem, Coach. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
You too. Bye. Coach Mosley there from Purcell Marion. Again, probably the best team in the division. It's going to be a heck of a game between them and Union Local tomorrow, who, again, I'm really excited for that game. So we have Union Local's coach coming on next. We'll see what he's got to say, but best of luck to Purcell Marion and Coach Mosley tomorrow to kick us off at 12. And now we're going to go to Union Local's coach, Coach Colesdale. Coach, how are you? Can you hear me, Coach?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm having trouble hearing you. I'm trying to move to get a good signal.
Oh, okay. You're clear as day for me.
Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Can you hear me pretty clear?
All right, we got you now. Yep.
All right. Coach, I appreciate you coming on. Kind of on the fly, too. It's the first time we've gotten to speak. Hannah Merritt, one of your players, played AAU for me, so she helped me get this arranged. So I appreciate you coming on. Coach, I want to ask, you took this job, this is your first year. I'm guessing you probably had a good amount of knowledge on the Jets before you took the job. What was one or two things that you wanted to address when you took the team over to go from a regional team to a state Final Four team?
I don't think they were regional last year. They got beat in the districts.
Well, that's right. You're right. They did.
And you know what? It was a situation when I took the job. I was the boys coach over at Meadowbrook. Mm-hmm. And my son just had a baby, and I knew we was going to have a good team at Meadowbrook again. And I went down and talked to the superintendent, and I don't know if I was really looking to take the head girls job, and he asked me, what do you think about taking the girls job? And I said, well, let's talk. And they made me a really good offer to teach and coach. That I'm only 20 minutes away compared to an hour at Meadowbrook. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I was kind of familiar with girls, but I hadn't followed them that much, being all into the boys. So yeah. It was kind of like, I knew a couple of the girls, and I mean, I'm local, so I knew they had a decent team. And it took me a while to get to know them this summer. So, it was kind of a process.
Yeah, well, it's kind of surprising. I figured, it was something that you were very familiar with, but, coming from Meadowbrook, you probably had a lot more to focus on your boys team over there than girls basketball.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to girls. I was caught up. We had some last 5 years. I had some really good teams over there and had some deep runs. I mean, we went to the state tournament and Trotwood Madison beat us in 1 year and made it to regionals 4 years. So I was all caught up into that, to tell you the truth.
So what was some of the things that the team has improved on since you took over in the summer? Obviously, you had the fall with them, and you're going from game 1 to game 28 or whatever you're on now. What are some of the bigger improvements that you've seen from this group?
Well, it was a rough summer. I mean, we had girls playing. We had one girl, Reagan, playing AAU ball, and it was a struggle to put a team together in the summer for the most part. I mean, we had vacations and everything, and I don't know. Me and my assistant coach, who's standing right by me right now, we kind of scratched our head a little bit, and we were using junior high girls to fill in, and it was a struggle. And when the season started, we played Worthington Christian. We thought we played a really good game. We came up short. We was 13 points. We was in the game all the way to the end. We go down 10 days later, and we play a really good Lindsley team, and we get beat by 4 or 5. Yeah. And we just like, man, here we go. After that, though, we played Cambridge, and I think the only game that we lost since then was Wheeling Park by 1 point. We should have won that game against a really good Wheeling Park team. So I think I'm getting to know them, and they're getting to know me.
Well, what do you think was the difference? I mean, losing to Worthington Christian and Lindsley and Wheeling Park, I mean, those are all solid teams. What was the difference since that Wheeling Park game, or maybe even before that? What clicked that made this team go on the run that they're on?
I think we just started to understand our roles, and we played really good defense. And I think they all matured a little bit, and I know that they got some really good players. Let's be realistic. I heard what you said. You're taking them to win the state tournament. All right, that was your pick.
That was 2 months ago.
Right, that's your pick. So we know what we're up against, and the whole state does. It's Purcell Marion. They got the they got the pick of the litter down there in Cincinnati. No disrespect to their coach, but we got a bunch of farm girls, and we got a bunch of girls that play a lot of different things. So we know what we're up against here, and we're going to try to put ourselves in position. Obviously they got a great program, and we're going to give it our best shot.
Coach, you guys may be one of the least known teams. You're down there on the Ohio River, or pretty close. You're not on it, but like you said, a bunch of farm girls out in the middle of nowhere. Can you I'm familiar with some of your top players, but could you give the listeners just a quick rundown of some of the kids that are going to be impact kids for you this weekend?
Well, the list's not very long. We got 10 players on the whole team. We had no JV team.
Okay.
And we was kind of disappointed because there was 7 or 8 girls that we thought could play and help us, at least on the JV level. Yeah. So obviously Reagan Vinskovich, who has already got a couple Division I offers. She's 6'1", 6'2", strong post player. We got her, and then we got Tori Kildow, who's really grown as a player in more ways than one. She had 43 against Wheeling Park, and she's just been on a tear lately. And what she did against Proctorville the other day in the last 4 minutes was pretty amazing. So, and the good thing, both of those players are juniors, but and we got other kids that just really understand their role, and they all accepted them, including Hannah, who, we use her for a little bit of everything, but we got a little point guard. We're going 6 deep, so we don't have the luxury of going past that.
You guys have a very tough regional against some really good programs, Fort Fry, Fairland. Even your district was really tough. Highland, Tusky Valley, those teams. What have you learned about your squad coming through a very tough district and then a very tough regional in the last week or so?
You know what? I think they've continued to get better. And I told them I don't think we've played our best game yet. and we most certainly have to play our best game tomorrow. And we understand what we have to do. We understand the formula. I think we continue to grow. I think our practice has been good. We had a good practice today. And you know what? I always did this with the boys. I'd throw my guys out once or twice a year. And I told my assistant coaches, there's not one day I could throw them out. I mean, they worked hard every day. And they were like just staring down into your soul to be taught. And I think they like the change. I think they like what we brought. We, worked them on defense. We took a lot of pride in our defense and fundamentals. And we also had fun. We had a smile on our face, get in there a good hour and a half, hour, 40 minutes. And I mean, never once did we as a coaching staff have an issue with this group of girls. Yeah. And they took accountability, they understand leadership. So, I trust them, and I think they trust me.
Now, one of the big things for tomorrow, again, you guys are kicking it off against Purcell Marion. One of the big challenges for you guys is going to be their athleticism. How are you guys kind of approaching that? What are you looking to? How do you kind of combat the athleticism that they're going to throw at you?
I mean, how do you totally stop that? I mean, you put yourself in my place. What are you going to do? You know the same thing that I do. We got to slow them down a little bit. We got to have long possessions. We got to make them defend on the inside. We get some drive-in kickouts. We think we're going to get some good looks. And I know he's listening to every word that I say. So there's no secrets at this stage. But, we're going to have to do what we do best. And we're going to attack them in the post.
Mm-hmm. And I was actually going to ask you about Reagan. How has she grown this year? Obviously, like you said, she's a kid that's getting some D1 looks, several offers. I think she's maybe the best post player in the grade, maybe even close to the best in the state. What has she done this year to improve on her game, not only from last year, but even just from since you got in the program?
I mean, I think Reagan has a lot of upside. And, we just keep talking about her just refining her game other than to a post position. If she's going to go D1, she's going to have the ability to put the ball on the floor and face up. She's going to have to get better as a ball handler. And I think we've tried to do that with her a little bit. We just haven't buried her down in the paint and say, go out, rebound everybody. And she's a good passer also, and she's got better at defense. So I think that she's going to continue to grow. And I think she is making strides in that area.
All right, Coach, last question. Again, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's a busy time. I'm guessing you're probably already down in Dayton. What is the message to the team, about this opportunity? You've been there as a coach. They haven't been there as a player. What is the message to the kids to keep them grounded and focused, ready for tomorrow at 12 o'clock?
I mean, we got to just do what we do best, and we can't try to do anything else. I mean, we know from the beginning the onslaught's coming. They're going to be excited, and they're going to come after us with their pressure, and we're going to have to withstand the blitzkrieg, and we're going to have to just knuckle in right from the start. So we know what's going to come after us, and we know what we have to do.
Coach, again, good luck tomorrow. That's a game I look forward to seeing. I know they cause a tough matchup, but you also do as well in your own right. So I'm excited. Congratulations on a great year, and I really appreciate you coming on with me tonight. I know it's probably not the most convenient thing in the world. So thanks.
We're good. Hey, thanks for your time.
All right, Coach. Have a good night. Good luck tomorrow. Coach Tolza there from Union Local. They're playing the D3, actually the first game of the weekend against Purcell Marion. And obviously you heard me say that Purcell Marion was my pick to win the state 2 years ago. So, it is going to be a big challenge. So good luck to them and definitely look forward to seeing them kick us off tomorrow. We're going to head down to Reynoldsburg in Central Ohio, and we're going to have a legend with us here, Jack Patel from Reynoldsburg. How are you, Jack? I think you're muted.
You're right. I am sorry.
There
Legend is not the word for me. It's just old. That's but you know what? We're happy to be able to have the opportunity to go compete in the state tournament again. And really look forward to going to Dayton and seeing what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, state appearances is not something new to you. I couldn't tell you how many times you've been there, but I know you've been there multiple times. You probably have at least one state title, if I had to guess. You know, what is it about this squad? You know, after having a couple years where, you know, Pick Central kind of got out of that regional quite a bit. Newark, you know, but here we are. Reynoldsburg is back on top in the Central. So, what does this year mean to you as opposed to some of the previous years?
You know, it's such a every year it's so competitive in the Central District. In our little 6-team division, we have Newark and Pick Central and Reynoldsburg. And this year we were fortunate enough to kind of get through the gauntlet, and you know, we started playing pretty well toward the end of the year. You know, I think it's really special. It's hard to get through the Central District, and this is our fourth time, and that we've been down there, and we're hopeful that this time will be the time that we can win a game and maybe get to the championship game and have a chance.
Now, I mean, you guys got what seems like an unlimited amount of talent, and that's not. I mean, people think when you have talent, it's easy to coach, but I think it's probably quite the opposite. You know, how have you had this team put them together? I know a couple of those kids are from out of the area, so you've got kids that haven't necessarily played together for 10 years or so. You know, that brings challenges. You know, how have you kind of got this team to mold together and get them to a state Final Four again?
You know, that's a great question. You know, I think this year it's helped us. We got to have a little bit of a June. You know, the kids all played AAU, but, you know, last year with COVID, we had a really good team last year, but we just couldn't ever really get it together. We had, you know, pauses and COVID, like shutdowns, and we didn't get to have a June where I feel is really important for high school teams to bond and go and sacrifice when nothing's really on the line. That helps you down the end of, you know, at the end of the year. But we got to have a little bit of that. And, you know, I think this group we have, they've all known each other for a long time. They haven't played together every year, like you said. You know, Mari was here when she was in 7th grade and left and came back. And, you know, Maya was here and left and came back. So, I mean, it's been a little bit of potpourri on our part. But at the same time, these kids really care about each other. They sacrifice for each other. We had a good Florida trip. We challenged them. I mean, we haven't lost a game in Ohio. And the 2 teams that we lost to both got beat in the state finals in their respective states. So we've challenged these kids, and I feel real good about where we're at right now.
Well, rumor has it some of the top teams in Ohio were skirting you guys at the Classic. I know you didn't eventually get to come, but
no comment.
You know, you obviously went through a really tough region as well. Yeah, it had a really tough game against Dublin Kaufman. You know, like kind of you touched on it, like with all this talent, the expectation is to win, and if you don't do that, it's a failure. How do you kind of keep your kids focused? And you know, the expectation is always to win, but it's not just going to happen. You're not just going to roll the ball out. You know, how do you keep the kids focused and not getting complacent?
That's another great question. You know, I think our kids really care about each other, and they care about winning, and they care about, you know, trying to put Reynoldsburg, you know, near the top of, you know, the state and maybe even nationally. You know, I feel like, you know, we take care of them. I mean, a lot of teams will get a new set of uniforms like maybe every couple of years. These kids got 4 new sets of uniforms this year. They got to go to Florida. We've been in the Classic in the country. We've been to the Sneakers for Santas in Indianapolis. We've been to Florida. we've challenged these kids, and I think they appreciate it, and they really want to be good, and they really represent our school really well.
Yeah. Now you guys match up with Anthony Wayne, and Coach Carter is going to be on here in about 30 minutes. But Anthony Wayne's kind of a team that's flied under the radar. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about them. I don't think many people know a whole lot about them. How do you prepare for a team that has not been in a top 10? They're not a team that's traditional power. So you really got to do a lot of digging and get to know a team really well, really quick. How do you prepare for that as a coaching staff?
You know what? We've tried to, dot our I's and cross our T's. Coach Butcher and I went and watched them play Saturday in Sandusky and Toledo Star. We were really impressed with them. They're really well coached. They have a couple freshmen that are going to be tremendous players, and their seniors are excellent players. That they're really skilled, and I know we're going to be in for a battle, on Friday, and we're just trying to do the best we can to try to keep our routine the same. Try to make sure that we're practicing what we need to practice. This being our fourth time there and their first time is a little different, probably. I mean, I remember our first time there, we were so happy to be there. We didn't know how to act, but I'm sure they're going to be ready, and it'll be a great game.
Now, what have you learned? I know I've had a couple coaches on here tonight that have had multiple trips, but what have you as a coach kind of, how do you adjust your trips to the Final Fours? Obviously, you said the first one is you're just like, wow, this is it. But as you get there more and more, you obviously learn and you do things differently. How have you kind of evolved as a coach when you're making trips to the state Final Four?
Again, that's something that we talk about all the time, our staff, and we decided last week that should we get to this point, that we weren't going to go spend the night. We were going to sleep in our own bed. It's an hour and 10 minutes from Columbus. A lot of schools don't have that. We want to try to keep in our routine as much as we can. We want to try to make this as business-like as we can. And we've had a lot of trips this year where we would, go and play and then come home, or treat, the first game, go sit, for the first game, like the 6 o'clock game, go and treat it kind of like a JV, even though it won't be a JV game, but try to stay in our routine. And that's where we're at. And I think we've learned over the years. The last 3 times we've been there been in Columbus. So it's a little different, but we're really excited to be able to have this opportunity.
So if you guys do get the win Friday night, you'll be going home, or
we will.
Okay.
We'll be coming home. Then we're gonna get up and do the same thing again on Saturday. We'll shoot, have a walkthrough, stop and eat in Dayton someplace, and go play.
And Coach Butch from Jackson mentioned the same thing. They're not staying the night. I'm guessing if they win, they're further than you guys, so they will be staying overnight. But I kind of like that. I think there is definitely a benefit when you have a late game like that. I mean, you got plenty of time to get to a gym and get your legs worked out. Yep. And so I kind of like that, to be honest with you.
We get home, they can sleep in their own bed, get up, and we can kind of stay in our routine. And I've learned that. I've made some mistakes with that in the past, and we're trying to keep this as business-like as we can.
Yeah. Now, what have you been kind of telling the squad over the last couple of days? You went through a tough regional. What are some things that you kind of let them know? These are things that we got to get better at and tighten up before Friday.
Well, I think it's always important that you shoot the basketball well, and we've tried to do our shooting drills at game like speed, like we always do. But sometimes this time of year, it's kind of easy to kind of like, let's just go get some shots up. I think defensively, we've tried to this week try to condition without getting anybody hurt, and I've made that mistake in the past too. And just try to keep it as normal as we can. And like really in the last, Rich, in the last couple months, we played 2 games a week, and now all of a sudden we have a week off. And so we try to jockey and make sure we cut down practice a little bit and go hard for maybe an hour and 15 minutes and just go.
Does this one for you personally mean any more than the others? I just want to I don't want to be mean or anything, but like Reynoldsburg did go through a couple years where, it was probably what you would consider down. Most teams would probably still love to have your squad or your record. But again, the expectation at Reynoldsburg is always to win. So you went through a couple years where it was a little tougher than what you're used to. Does that make this one any sweeter, or, how do you feel about that?
I just, there are some programs that every year you have a chance, like especially at some, I don't want to say smaller schools, but there are some smaller school programs that every year you're going to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
In Division I, it's not that easy, and you got to have players, and you got to be healthy, and you can't have bad shooting nights. And there's some years that we didn't have as much talent as this year, obviously. But I think this group is hungry. They're bonded. They care about each other. And I feel like defensively, this is one of the best groups we've had, period. We're not big, but we get loose balls. We do a lot of things really well. And I'm excited to be able to have the opportunity to go play on Friday.
I want to ask you, I'm gonna ask you about Russell, and then I want to give you an opportunity to maybe talk about some other kids. But Russell's a kid that's going to West Virginia, big time recruit, excellent basketball player. How has she been instrumental? Obviously she came over from Dublin Kaufman, but how has she grown and led you guys to this Final Four herself? Not herself, but we're talking. How has her growth been to get you here?
Yeah, I mean, Mari's a scorer. I mean, first and foremost, but she also is one of the best defenders we've ever had. And then we've tried to keep her off. A lot of times, the other team's best player. The last few games hasn't been the case. It's this time of year that she's going to guard the other team's best or second best player. She is a tremendous athlete. I mean, she's a tireless worker. She can do things that most kids just can't do. And scoring the ball, she's really good. And it's we're just blessed. I'm glad she came back. Like I said, she was here in 7th grade. They ended up going to Kaufman, came back, and we're just blessed that she did.
Now, who else should we pay attention to? I know you got a lot of quality players. Just a minute or two, give us a couple of kids that are going to really be instrumental this weekend.
So Maya Perry, tremendous athlete, great kid. She's going to Ohio State. She's the best shooter I'm going to say that we've ever had in girls since I've been in the last 20 years in girls. Yeah. She's a really good shooter, tremendous competitor, great practice player, great leader. She's it's Batman and Robin, and then they're closer to Batman and Batman than Batman and Robin, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We have Samara Savoy's a junior who's a rising junior. She's improved. She's our most improved player, probably averaging double, pretty close each game. We have Trinity Ramos, who is just a tough kid. I can't say enough about her as well. Mikaya Miller, our point guard. She's going to Wright State. She's a Wright State commit. Broke a bone in her foot on December the 10th, had surgery, and I had a pin in her foot missed eight weeks. She just now is getting back to where, she's our leader. And she, but she's coming back. She had 17 points against Gahanna. Just kind of getting back in the flow, getting back in shape. So, it's been a blessing having her back. And our sixth girl, Jamiana Ross, she's Division I athlete, track star. I think that best defender in the state. So, we're not real deep, but those kids are awesome.
Yeah. Well, Jack, again, I appreciate you coming on. you might not think so, but you're definitely up there on the legend list for girls hoops in Ohio. You've been doing it for years. So I'm really honored that you would come on and do the show, especially crazy busy time of the year. So again, thank you. Good luck this week, and we'll definitely be seeing you down there.
Appreciate you, Rich. Hope to see you down there. Okay.
Oh, you will.
Take care and thank you.
I'll be taking off tomorrow morning, so I'll be there long before you.
I will see you there. All right. Take care.
All right, Jack. Have a good one.
See you.
Jack Patel there for Reynoldsburg. Just again, a guy that's been doing this for a long time. He's been to states 4 times. So good luck to Reynoldsburg. Really excited to see that Division I tournament because there's a lot of talent there. We got 2 teams that have been doing this for a long time, and then 2 teams that are newbies. So we're going to get a lot of entertaining basketball in the Division I tournament this weekend. And we're going to go take ourselves down to the Cincinnati area, and he probably won't agree either, but here's another legend in the girls basketball realm, Coach Rob Matula. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well.
I really appreciate you coming on. Again, crazy time of the week for you, so I really appreciate you taking part in this show. And I have always said, and I know you know who Basketball Bob is. He only calls me about once every 2 or 3 weeks asking me about Ohio. And I've always said, particularly after the Classic, I think Kyla Oldacker is the most dominant player I've ever seen in Ohio. And Ohio has had a lot of basketball players, a lot of great basketball players. Just tell us a little bit about Kyla. Obviously she's I think 6'5" post player going to Miami, Florida. Since you've had her in your program, how has she developed? How has she grown? And how has that led you guys to where you're at now?
Well, I think that anybody that sees her, on the basketball court is going to obviously recognize instantly, that she's, 6'5", strong, and I think everybody assumes that she's just going to be a girl that runs down the floor and puts her back to the basket, and that's it. Yeah. What I think has kind of, I don't know, taken some people by surprise is the fact that she can, step out on the perimeter. She can handle the basketball. She can dribble the basketball. She's got great vision. And, we can use her in a number of ways besides just throwing it to her in the post, which, again, I think allows a lot of our players to be better, because of her. But I'll tell you, the biggest thing that I have become appreciative from her is her leadership qualities. She's our only senior. I know a lot of other teams have multiple seniors. She's our only one. She came to us last year and I think learned a lot about what our culture is about and has really accepted that and has become a true leader. So, besides the fact that she's a really, really good basketball player, she's a really, really good person, and she's a really, really good teammate.
So now, piggyback on what you said, I've seen Kyla lead the break at 6'5". Like, this kid can handle the ball and get up and down the floor. Obviously, that's not her number one job, but she is able to do that. When I talk to people about Kyla, I kind of describe her like she's a kid who's strong enough to rip your head off, and she don't mind doing it. Is that accurate? Obviously, she's a good kid. I don't mean that in any negative way at all, but it's not normal for kids to be willingly aggressive and not really care who's around. And I think that really definitely elevates her game. Is that accurate, or?
I think it's extremely accurate. I think that sometimes a person of her size, skill, and strength might back away from having that attitude that I'm going to be dominant. And one of the things that we challenge not only her, but we challenge all of our players is, that we want them to I say it quite often in practice. Don't be afraid to be special.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be dominant, because especially with girls, man, we're trying to build them up as strong women, and we want them to be dominant. We want them to go out in the world and take charge and be successful. And she's not afraid of that at all. So I think your description of her, she ain't gonna come back down from anybody.
Absolutely. And again, for what it's worth, I've told Basketball Bob, she's the top player in Ohio in my mind, all things considered. Now your point guard is a young freshman. She's obviously grown a ton. We're going to get to some of your other kids, but I want to ask you about the freshman. She had a big, and I should have wrote her name down on my notes and I forgot to, but she had a big bucket to get you guys here against Mount Notre Dame. I believe she had the game-winning bucket. Tell us a little bit about her and how she's grown this year and how she's contributed to you guys being back in this Final Four.
Yeah, that's Maddie Parrish. The biggest thing about Maddie is what I don't think most people realize is that she's a freshman, but she's only 14 years old. I mean, she honestly could be an 8th grader. And
wow.
Yeah, she's, just, has that, I don't know, she's got kind of an ability to just kind of let things go, because she'll make some, freshman mistakes, but nothing seems to rattle her. I mean, she's got a real level head about her. And I think, early on, didn't really know what we had in her. I knew she was athletic. I knew she was very coachable. I mean, that's one of the unbelievable things about her. It reinforces what it means to have great parents backing a kid who has an unbelievable amount of talent. Because I think as most of these coaches would tell you, sometimes you can run across a talented player, and if they don't have a parental base that keeps them grounded, that can become a problem. Yeah. And this girl's not a problem. And I think she knows how good she is, and I think she's confident, but she's unbelievably coachable. Yeah. There's many times that I have to, talk to her about what I want her to do and how I want her to grow. And she's extremely open. And I really believe that's because of her parents, because her parents aren't going to let her get away with nothing. And I wish we had more parents like that, that held their kid, accountable. But she's, like I said, she's a freshman, and she's only going to go up from here.
Now, 1 or 2 minutes here. I know for coaches, it's hard to be on here and they want to talk about everybody. But for time's sake, give us a couple more kids that we should be paying attention to this week. I know you guys play Jackson at 6 on Friday. Who are some other kids besides those two that are going to make an impact for you guys?
Well, I would have to say that, Gabby Rosano, who is 6'2" junior, who missed last year. She started every game for us as a freshman. She tore her ACL last year at the beginning of her sophomore year, didn't play at all last year, missed all of her AAU season. She's just, I think really, really coming into her own. She's, what I would say is the epitome of a stretch 4. She can run the floor. She can shoot the 3. She can play in the middle. She plays good defense. So she'll have to be really good for us. And then honestly, we got a lot of, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. We've got a lot of cookie cutter players who understand their roles. Joy Resig is a 5'4" dynamo that just gets after you and gets a lot of rebounds for us and does some crazy things defensively for us. I mean, if you watch the end of the game against M&D, here you have, 5'4" Joy Resig, chesting up, KK Bransford, a McDonald All-American. And that's just the way that it ended, but that girl won't back down from anybody. But I've got a number of those, I can say Amanda Barnes is one of those, Braden Johnson, I got a list of them that we don't have. And this is no disrespect or anything, but I don't have. And besides, Kyla right now, I can't say that I've got West Virginia. Can't say that I got Ohio State. I can't say that I have Wright State. I can't say that I have all those kids. But what I do is that I have a bunch of kids that, in the end, what we ask them to do, they're going to do, and they're going to do it hard.
Absolutely, and that's very important to a winning basketball team. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, you guys were the team to take down MND after a multiple year reign in the Southwest District. But success is nothing new to you guys. You've been to state Final Four several times. You've got state champions in your past. But how did it feel for you guys to be the team to end the MND streak after? I'm sure that they've ended your season probably at least once in the last couple of years. How did that feel for you guys?
I've fielded that question a number of times over the last 2 or 3 days, and I think every time that question comes to me, my first response is that I have to always give credit to Mount Notre Dame and to Scott Rogers and to his staff and to the program, because I can only imagine what it would be like to win 98 games in a row at the Division I level. Crazy, going through the schedule that they go through in the tournament and all of those good things. So obviously we were, honored to beat them, but we really didn't make it. That wasn't the forefront of things for us. We weren't like, hey, let's knock them, let's knock them off because they've won 98 in a row. It was more business as usual. We prepare ourselves, we prepare our team to do what we do best and game plan. And with this group, they followed the game plan. And, luckily we went out and we had enough to withstand, their effort and come out on top. But I'm not going to take away from the fact that, it was great to beat them, but it would have been great to beat anybody, in the regional final to get to the Final Four. So it didn't escalate things in regards to that joy. It just made it great that we did enough that we could get to the Final Four.
And you probably heard me ask Coach Patel this similar question, but I mean, you've been to states, you've had some tremendous teams with Poisis and the Mason kid, and the list goes on and on. But it has been a couple years, and again, the 98 game streak, the MND you had to endure. Does this one feel any different? Does it feel better, or where does it compare on your trips to the Final Four?
I don't know that it feels any better. I know, just like Jack, and Jack is he's one of my guys. I mean, he and I are kind of cut from the same mold when it comes to caring for kids and working hard, and but anytime you have the opportunity to get through the Southwest region, the gauntlet that it is when it comes to tournament time, it makes it special. And we've had our opportunities, and we I couldn't go back and say that one team was better than another team. I think a lot of getting to the Final Four not only has to do with talent, but it also has to do with luck in things going your way. And each of the teams has been different. I would say that in the reasons that we got where we got. But this team is they're young. I mean, we've only got one senior, and, we play a lot of juniors and sophomores and freshmen. But they're just real level-headed. And I think, the teams that we've had before have been kind of like that way too. We expect, to play really, really good defense and give ourselves a chance to win. And our kids continually do that. And I really, really, truly believe that that's because of the consistent that we've had, with the kids that have come through our program and the seniors that have really led us and dominated, our efforts.
And that is obviously a testament to the coaching that all those teams through the years can be level-headed and stay focused. And, heading into the Final Four, obviously very tough regional, very tough district. We all know that Southwest is probably the toughest region in the state, and then there's never any doubt about that. What are one or two things that you've kind of let the team know, guys, these are things that we got to get better at before we play Jackson on Friday at 6:00?
Yeah, it's funny you would ask that. I mean, it's a great question because we kind of talked about that today. I think that our level of concentration mentally needs to be better. It doesn't seem to be so much physical with our kids. I think they're in great shape, and that's a testament to my assistants and our trainers. But I think sometimes having the ability to focus, we're at the end of our quarter, which means we got a lot of grades and tests and so forth that are happening. And I'm sure that's the case with a lot of other schools at this point in the year. So they're going to have to be mentally tough, but also they have to kind of put on the back burner a lot of the attention that they're getting right now. A lot of people saying, "Oh, it's great. You beat Mount Notre Dame. It's awesome. You're going to the Final Four." And there's a lot of attention, a lot of energy there. And somehow, some way, you got to be able to focus. I think we're going to have to shoot the ball better. We haven't really shot the ball from the perimeter well. Now that, we're post oriented, obviously, with Kyla and Gabby in the post. But we've always been that way. We've always started our offense has always been predicated by going inside out. We're kind of old school in that sense. But right now, I really feel confident that I don't have to tell them a whole lot. They want to play. They want to show up. They want to give it their all. They will. I don't doubt that the effort won't be there. You just got to hope that, baskets go your way and calls go your way, and you get a little bit of luck.
Yep. And Coach, for whatever it's worth, I didn't jump on the Mason bandwagon after the MND game. I have the receipts that said after seeing you guys at the Classic, you're coming out of the region. I've said it. I told that to Basketball Bob. He was texting me during the whole game on Saturday, and I told the Jackson folks on Saturday I was at their game. I said I think that you're going to be playing Mason, and good luck with Kyla. So
appreciate that.
I really appreciate your time. I know it's a crazy time and it's late. We're after 9:00, and Coach, I really appreciate you coming on. Good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it, man. Anytime.
All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
All righty. Take care.
Coach Rob Matula there from Mason. Again, a lot of success with that program. He's done a great job. He has built a heck of a program down there at Mason. So I'm excited to see them again. Again, I'll put it on record. I think Kyla Oldacker is the best player in Ohio. She may not get Miss Basketball. Obviously, there's a lot of great guards in Ohio, but there's not one player that I do not want to face if I was a coach or a player more than Kyla Oldacker. So, if you guys get a chance, get down there and see Mason play Jackson. Kyla is definitely a once-in-a-generation type player. So, good luck to the Mason Comets this weekend, and we'll be down there. Well, I'll be down there. Hopefully a lot of other people will be too. And we're going to head up to Northwest Ohio here, and we're going to welcome Jamie Carter, the coach of Anthony Wayne. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Excellent. I really appreciate you coming on. I know that we have talked through Twitter over the years, and you're very supportive of stuff that I do, especially out there in Northwest Ohio. So I really thank you for that, and thanks for coming on short notice. And
absolutely.
I would say that Anthony Wayne is probably the well, let me get this out of the way first. I picked Olmsted Falls to win. And I actually I don't know if you know Clyde Fish. He texted me and said, "I'll bet you a beverage on that game." I lost. I owe him a beverage. So Clyde Fish knows how good you guys were. I didn't. I would say that you guys are probably one of the bigger unknowns, not only in the Division I, but in all of the divisions down there this weekend. For someone like me, I know some of your kids, but I've never seen you play a game. what is the Anthony Wayne way of basketball? Like, what should I expect this weekend when you guys step on the court Friday night at 8 against Reynoldsburg?
Well, I would say to kind of sum up what our program is about, we are quick, athletic. We have a lot of multi-sport kids. Most of our kids, in fact, all of our kids play at least one more sport throughout their in high school. We're also really disciplined. I think we stick to our game plan, and when we stick to our game plan, that's when we find our most success. But it's a team played ball. It is team played ball at Anthony Wayne for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now I have to ask this because I don't know. I would imagine it's the Anthony Wayne's first trip to state. Maybe not.
Correct. This is the first time we've actually won a regional final game. We've made it to the semifinals one other time in 2011. This will be our first trip to the state Final Four. So
you guys are certainly rewriting history for Anthony Wayne.
Yes.
What is that like for your kids? Obviously that's a region that's been dominated by Toledo, Notre Dame. What is it? How does it feel for you and your kids to now you're on top, at least in that region? I'm sure you've had some really good wins this season and this postseason against teams that maybe have gotten you in the past, and now you're returning the favor. Like, how does that feel for you and your group?
It feels great. I'm so glad that they're getting the attention and the notoriety that they deserve. We have 5 seniors who this is my 4th year as a head coach, so they've been with me since they were freshmen. Mm-hmm. And so, to see them get the attention that they deserve, it's great because they're a good group of kids and they're a hardworking group of kids as well. It's great for the community. We're a successful soccer program, and to see that carry over and that success carry over to basketball is great for the community as well. It's a small farming community, so
yeah. So you guys have the honor of stepping on the court with a state power, Reynoldsburg. They've had Coach Patel on here earlier. This is their 4th trip to state. How are you keeping the kids grounded and, not looking at this as a insurmountable feat or, it's obviously a much different atmosphere than they're probably used to. What is the message to the team this week that, hey, we deserve this and we have just as much shot as anybody here?
We talk a lot about being true to who we are and sticking to what we do best and focusing on what we do best. So that's been our motto really all year. We've won some huge games, a lot of last second games to beat teams that, like you had mentioned, have beaten us consistently in the past. And they've gained a lot of confidence from that as far as being able to finish games. Especially games that have been close. Olmsted's Falls is a perfect example. That was a close game at the end as well. Start was as well for our regional final game. We ended up winning by 3. But the other thing I would say is that they've been on the stage, albeit a different field. But like I said, most of our kids are soccer players, and they were in the state semifinals. Actually, I think 3 years now for the seniors, but definitely this year. So, they're competitors. When they get on the court or field, whatever it is, they like to compete. They love the crowd. So they feed into big crowds. So, we're just staying the course and being true to who we are.
I would imagine that you guys probably have a heck of a community support as well. Generally those farm towns, especially one the size in, a Division I school, I'm guessing you guys are probably going to have a heck of a crowd there on Friday, right?
Absolutely, we are. Our community is great. They've, from team dinners the last 3 weeks to our younger kids in our elementaries sending us, well wishes. Our junior high programs made signs for us and put them in the locker room. We have our youth travel program as well that has, come around, and it's good to see our kids. And I love to see our kids put in positions to where they're the leaders, and they're showing these young kids, how to win, but how to win with grace as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, again, I know a couple of your kids. I know you have the freshman twins. I seen a game earlier in the year where one of them hit a 40-foot buzzer beater. But I don't really know a whole lot about your team. For everybody who doesn't, including myself, who are some of those players that we should be paying attention to this weekend that are going to make impacts for you guys?
The twins that you're referring to are Elise and Brooke Bender, and like Mason's twin, or not twin, but players. They also are young and could still be in the 8th grade. So they're young, but both of them have matured so much throughout the season, and have gotten better each game. And they weren't really known much when we started this year, partially because they didn't play with us at the junior high level. They played up in Michigan and LBIs because of COVID. Mm-hmm. So, they were not on the radar when we first started in June. And then, as we started to show up to camps and shootouts, people started to make mention and to notice. EJ's Elise, we call her EJ. She is our leading point scorer, and she just, like I said, in the tournament, she's averaging more points in the tournament per game than what she had in the season, because she's a kid that just loves that competition and loves the crowd. She feeds off of that. That buzzer beater was probably one of the craziest shots I've ever seen as a coach or as a fan. There was a lot of things that happened that led up to that. As far as other kids had to take and make huge shots down the stretch. Probably the last, it truly seems like 7 years ago, if I'm being honest. But the last 30 seconds were intense, and it was crazy. The two kids that set the double screen for EJ to even get the shot off, everything was perfect into a T. And that's a testament to our kids believing in what we do as a coaching staff, and following the game plan. Elise is more of our guard. Brooke is more of our post. She's a great rebounder. She's leading our team in rebounding as well. She can shoot from the arc, though. She's a quiet kid. They're both quiet kids. They're both humble kids. They have a great family who's very supportive as well. So not only of our program, but just making sure that their kids are doing the right things and things like that. I also have a senior, Jenna Rabicki, who's our forward. She's actually going to the University of Findlay for soccer. She's going to join her sister there. Her sister's there as well playing soccer. She is extremely athletic, and she is one of our team leaders. During the start game specifically, the last 4 minutes, she put the team on her back and carried us through we were down 5, and the way that the game was going, it truly felt like 20 at one point. But she's just a kid that stepped up, and that's also what's nice about this team is it's not always the same. We rely on EJ to do a lot of our scoring, but when we need to knock down shots, it's never the same person who consistently is doing that. So I think sometimes that makes us hard to defend. Amelia Womack is our shooting guard. Again, she's a senior as well. She's a kid that can knock down shots. Her defense, specifically this year, has improved tremendously. So her and our point guard, Peyton Miller, are actually in the top 5 this year in assists. They're both well over 50 at this point. So they share the ball very well as well. Peyton Miller, our point guard, she's actually been our starting point guard for the last 3 years, but she sat out all of last year with an injury. So she's our best defender. She's a little thing, but she's got a hard. She's fun to watch, and
my favorite type of player.
A lot.
Coach.
I also have a kid coming off the bench who comes off the bench, our 6th man, in Sophia Schneider. And she's very, we use her however we need her, which is nice when she comes off the bench. If we need a stop, defensive stop, or she can also sub in for a post or a guard. So just a well-rounded team. And like I said, it's a team first team as well.
Coach, when did you guys start believing that, hey, this could be a magical season. We could do some big things here. At what point in the season did it start clicking that, hey, this could be special?
I get that question a lot, and we really never made this public. We kept this to ourselves as a team and as a staff, but we knew in June that we had something special. And we knew that this was going to be one of our goals. Obviously, winning our league, we hadn't done that since 2008, was also one of our goals. And not knowing, I know you don't know much about like Northwest Ohio, but we didn't have an easy road to do that. We had to beat in our last 3 league games, we had to beat probably 3 of the toughest league opponents that we have in our league. One of them twice to pull it off. So, and at their place, no less. So, we knew we had something special, but I think when the kids started and they believed, but I think they really saw their worth after that Napoleon game when EJ hit that last second shot, because we hadn't been able to compete with Napoleon for a couple of years. Obviously, they've been down to state twice now in the last 3 years. So, and hats off to those programs. Coach Kreinberg's program is amazing, and what it does is it pushes the rest of us to try to have to keep up.
Yeah. Coach, got 1 minute left with you. What is one thing or maybe 2 things that you kind of been preaching to the kids this week? Like, hey, I mean, we got this tough opponent. These are some things that we really got to get better at, and focus on this week to help us pull out another W.
We talk a lot about composure and staying composed on the court. You're going to get pressured. We're going to get pressured. Reynoldsburg is going to bring the pressure for sure. It's making sure that our kids don't panic under those pressure situations. But, we tell them all the time, we believe in you, and, we've got your back. Just stick to who we are and what we need to do to win a game.
Coach, again, I want to thank you for coming on. I know it's it's late and busy time for you. So I really appreciate you taking part in the show tonight. And I definitely look forward to seeing you guys play this Friday night. And good luck, and I hope everything goes well for you.
Thank you. It was great to finally meet you.
Absolutely. If I run into you down at Dayton, I'll make sure I say hi.
Okay, I appreciate that.
All right, Coach. Have a good night. Thank you again.
Thank you.
That was Coach Carter from Anthony Wayne. Again, probably one of the most unknown teams in the tournament still. Credit to them. They just got to continue to get it done. Big challenge against Reynoldsburg. Again, a 4-time state semifinalist, and Anthony Wayne's going down for the first time. So be a very interesting game. I wish those kids nothing but the best. And we are going to move to the Division III level in Wayne County, and we got Coach Rick Geiser from Waynedale on with us. Coach, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I know you just had a team meeting, and you guys actually get started tomorrow. So you're going to be one of the first games to be played. First of all, it's obviously your second year in a row getting down to Dayton, and it was not easy this time around. I still have not watched the video of the ending of your last game, even though multiple people have called me and they told me I need to watch it. What was this regional like for you guys? It was obviously a nail biter. What was it like for your squad coming through that Cuyahoga Falls region again, and having to go through a couple of really tough games?
The first game against Youngstown Liberty, that's the first time we've seen them. We didn't really know anything about them besides our film study, obviously, before we played. So that was a little bit of a challenge to prep for somebody you don't know anything about. Yeah. We got through that one okay, and we knew we had spent a bunch of time trying to prep for Warrensville Heights, learning more about them as the season went along, because we knew they were really, really good. So the unique challenges of what they present, we have moments where we are 5'7", 5'8" at the max, and smaller. and they go 6'2", 6'1", 6'1", with a point guard that's really, really gifted as well. And so that was a unique challenge for us that we hadn't had to face. So, we knew that game was going to be really hard. The ebbs and flows of that game. We started off pretty well. I think we were up 19-11 early, and they scored like 10, 12 straight. They went up 3 at halftime. We had a good start to the third quarter, and then we got 4 minutes left, and we were up 7 and didn't score again.
The rest of the game?
Rest of the game. That was it. And, we get to
trying to give you gray hair.
Oh my gracious. It was a crazy finish. The 13 seconds left. We had the ball out on the sideline, and actually got a 5-second call to give it back to them. And then they had 3 really good looks from about 2 feet and in that just happened to roll off the rim, and we got to celebrate. So it was crazy. It was really crazy. It was a tough game for either team to lose because both teams played well enough to win.
Talk about emotional roller coaster. I mean, you went from having your heart in your throat for a couple seconds to absolute jubilation. Last year you guys made the state tournament, and you graduated a really maybe the best class that Waynedale's ever had. And you lost several really good players and starters. What was the challenge this year? You obviously made it back to where you were last year, but what was the challenge this year to replace all those kids and get everybody up to pace and be able to make another trip to Dayton?
Well, we knew we were going to look different. And so when June came and we started off day 1 in June, sitting them down and trying to cast a vision of what we have to be, what our new mantras were going to be and what we have to do to win. And last year we put points on the board pretty easy. This year it's not necessarily the points on the board, it's how well we keep other teams from putting points on the board.
Yeah.
We have a defensive mindset. We battle. Kids are super scrappy. They do everything we ask. They buy into game plans, and they don't care who is scoring it on the offensive end. They just, we tell them, you got to go let it rip. Like, trust your work, because as soon as you start second guessing, you're not as good.
Yeah.
And so we try and instill confidence in each player, and then we help coach them through it. So it was from day one. Okay, we got to win with our defense. Defense is going to always be there. We got to try and rebound like crazy, and then let's go execute details on offense and take care of the ball. And when it's your time to shoot it, let it go.
Now, I've seen you guys play a couple times this year. I was at the Chippewa game where it was a close game at halftime, and you guys took off in the second half. But as we mentioned, you guys are going to look a lot different from last year's Dayton trip to this year's. I know, it starts with your daughter, Alyssa Geyser, but give us some of those kids that, again, you're not going to look at all like you did last year. Who are some of the kids this year that we should be paying attention to that are going to be impact kids for you this weekend?
Well, Brooklyn Yoder has had her biggest moments in our biggest road conference games. She was the player of the year in the Wayne County League for those big moments. Mm-hmm. She had a couple 20-point, 18 rebound games that at 5'7" is pretty incredible. But her effort's just off the charts. And, she can stretch the floor. She can shoot it from outside. She can post up inside. She can finish with either hand well. She's pretty gifted. So that's for sure one. Another one that we can't afford to have off the court is Sherilyn Miller running the point for us. She just handles pressure. You can tell she's a 3-year starter. She's been through the battles. Mm-hmm. And just her IQ is off the charts. And so she's battle tested. If we can just keep her clean from from getting foul trouble because she's so feisty. That makes a big difference for us. So, I mean, those two right away. And then we have a bunch of others that are averaging between 4 and 7 points. We feel like any given day, those guys can all shoot it from the outside. They keep teams honest, and we trust them. So, Elise Yoder, Jewel Persinger, Kylie Nussbaum, McKenna Bainey, Lacey Walters, and Cheyenne Chupp, all of them have had big moments in tough games.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we just kind of spread it around, and I think that's part of what gets us back here is the ability to have other kids step up and make plays on both ends of the floor.
Yeah. Now, you guys saw a much different level of athleticism against Warrensville Heights. You did a good enough job there to get out of there. You know, you're going to see a lot of the similar stuff against Worthington Christian. And then, you know, if you match up possibly with Purcell Marion, you're going to get another really athletic team. You know, how do you guys approach teams like that? Because you're certainly, as you said, not the biggest, actually kind of small. And when you match up with teams against like Warrensville, Worthington Christian, and you know some of those others, you're probably on the short end of the athleticism as well. You know, how do you guys combat that so that you're still effective and you can get out with some W's?
Well, details, scouting report, find places that we can make calculated risks defensively on how to maybe take away a player or adjust to a player that's kind of got it going. You know, we had to, against Warrensville Heights, we had to take some risks at not guarding a couple kids. And well, they had a girl, number 11 for them, was averaging 1.8. She had 12 in that game. She played really well for them and made some outside shots that, you know, were calculated risks for us. So you got to find ways to, in your game plan, to pick and choose your battles and be able to live with the consequence as you take those risks. You know, Worthington Christian doesn't have the size that Warrensville Heights brings to the table, but they do have some very skilled kids. And Blessing King is really athletic and can do a lot of things on both ends of the floor that we're gonna have to deal with and try and keep her from affecting the game so many ways with her athleticism. So, you know, Purcell Marion's very athletic. Union Local we saw them last year down at the Classic in the country. And they're a really good team too, with two kids that can really score it and shooters around them. So, you know, it's a good, it's going to be a tough matchup no matter who we see. And that's the way it will be down here. You don't expect it to be easy. You expect it to be a tough challenge, and we're excited about that.
Absolutely. Now, you guys, what does the weekend look like for you guys? I'm guessing you might already be down there, but I'm not sure. You know, this is obviously your second in 2 years that you're down there. What is I'm always curious to see how a team, what they do, and, you know, what does a weekend look like for you guys?
Well, we learned some valuable lessons a year ago. Timing wise, what time you leave, how do you do the day, how you practice the day before, when do you practice the day before? Last year we practiced on Wednesday after school and actually got down here later than what I had wished because of the send off and those things. So this year we practiced before school. Well, the first 2 periods of the school we got permission to practice, and then we took off about 2:00. So we're all down here in Dayton. We're able to eat on the way, and then we were able to have a team meeting tonight once we got here. So we feel like we've managed that way better than we did a year ago. You live and you learn. And tomorrow morning we get up, eat breakfast, have another team meeting just to kind of talk them through, get them going, and then we'll head over and watch the first game between Union Local and Purcell Marion. Get out and go, and depending on the outcome, obviously will determine how the rest of the weekend goes. If we win, we'll definitely be practicing on Friday and getting ready for the next one. So we're excited about the challenge. What a great opportunity to be back-to-back years, and we hope that we can see game 2 down here this year.
Absolutely. Coach, last question. I always try to ask every coach this. What is one or two things that, between the Saturday game against Warrensville Heights and, going into the game tomorrow, what's the big message on the thing that you guys really need to focus more on or get better at, or, one key factor that's going to help you guys get closer to getting that W tomorrow?
Well, I think maybe the biggest key factor is to just keep trusting what we do. It's got us to this point, 28 straight wins on a season. Like, let's just trust what we do. Stay alert, stay focused. They have lots of things that they're going to throw at us. So keep your composure. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to make every shot. Just keep your composure. Keep focused on the things that we're trying to accomplish. Make sure we're echoing our calls. Make sure we're communicating well. Those things in a new atmosphere. We don't know how loud it's going to be because last year was a COVID year.
Yeah,
it might be really hard. I don't know how it can get any louder than our Warrensville Heights game. That was nuts. I mean, we were trying to talk to girls 20 feet away, and they couldn't hear anything we were saying because it was just that crazy. So what a great atmosphere, and so those things, the composure thing, let's try and get off to a fast start. Last year we were down 17-4, I think, right away. Made a big run, actually took the lead, start the second half, but couldn't keep it. So, a quicker start, I think, maybe is a big key for us. We got off to a good start against Warrensville Heights, and I think that settled the kids in. So, believe in who we are and what's got us here, and let's go let it rip and see where it gets us.
Absolutely. Coach, I want to thank you for coming on. Again, I know you're busy. You just had a team meeting. So I really appreciate you coming on and giving me 15 minutes. So good luck. Again, I mean, you're a local team. I'm certainly pulling for you. And, I really wish you guys the best this weekend.
I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Coach. Have a good night.
You too.
Rick Geyser there from Waynedale, again, making their second straight trip to the Final Four. Like we talked about, it's going to be the team's going to look different than it did last year, but those girls have done a great job to get the job done, and they're giving themselves a shot again to come home with another state title. So good luck to Rick and his girls, and they play Worthington Christian tomorrow at 2:00. So good luck to them. And we are going to move to our only Division IV coach that we're going to have on tonight, Abram Capel. Again, another guy who is not a stranger to the show. So, Coach, you're the only D4 coach I have today, so I'm going to predict that you're going to win and nobody's going to know any different.
Fair enough. I'm good with that.
How's it going, Coach? How's the week been for you guys?
It's been good, man. It's been a little chaotic since Saturday night. Just from a logistical standpoint, there's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes, and obviously we have a ways to go to get to Dayton. So a 3-hour trip, and we play in the afternoon on Friday, which is kind of an odd time. So getting all that stuff sorted out and making sure that I guess we have everything we need when we leave New Washington tomorrow.
You guys, I can't remember what year it was, but I know Buckeye Central had made a trip to the state Final Four previously. Were you on that staff, or I can't?
No,
remember.
that was 2018. That was Greg Moore's last year, so I took over the year after that.
Okay.
So last year we graduated the freshmen that were on that team. So and again, that was in Columbus, but we have some kids that were familiar with that team. Claudia's older sister, Courtney, played on that team. So there's a little bit of connection and some ties there. So a little bit familiar. And as a school, this is our 7th trip to the Final Four.
No, I did see you guys play a game online. I watched the Shelby game. I was in Florida, and it was live streamed. So I actually watched that. It was a heck of a game. and Claudia wasn't playing at that point. How has the team grown from game 1 to game 28 or whatever it is that you're on?
Yeah, so the Shelby game was really like I don't want to say a turning point, but maybe that it was the best thing that happened, right? We did lose that game to a fantastic Shelby team that was really, really good and finished number 1 in the state in Division 2. But without having Claudia, we have a 2-point lead headed into the fourth quarter. Ended up, just kind of running out of gas. But what that did for our kids, especially not having Claudia, was instill a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I think from that point, because we got Claudia a couple days later, that was actually the day that she got cleared. Took her 2 or 3 weeks to kind of, obviously she scored right away as she does, but to kind of work herself into shape, for us to kind of adjust to, different rotations, right? You add in her back in the game and things kind of get shuffled around. So, game 1 to 28, we look definitely different, right? But the junior class has done a really good job in terms of their growth over the past, since the entire start of the season, and we're playing good basketball right now.
What would you say the identity of your squad is? Again, I'm a little bit familiar. I know a couple of your players. I've seen you play a couple games, but for people around the state that has never seen Buckeye Central or even heard of Buckeye Central, maybe. You guys are out there quite a bit. What is the identity of your squad, and what should people expect to see when you guys step on the floor Friday?
I hope that people can look at us and say that we're disciplined. Defensively, we've played really well as of late. I'm just looking at my team stats, and we're giving up 32 a game. And that's over the course of 28. And we feel that we have some really good opponents on our schedule throughout the course of the year. Shelby being one of them, Bellevue, Seneca, Sandusky, Perkins. So we feel that we've played some good teams and been able to kind of identify ourselves on the defensive end. Waterford presents some different challenges maybe than what we've seen so far this year. But, being in a new arena, different backdrops, I told our kids maybe we don't shoot the ball well. I mean, I absolutely hope that we do, but something that we can control and kind of hang our hat on is, understanding our scouting report and our effort and our focus on the defensive end. So I guess I hope people leave our game and be like, hey, they were really disciplined and sound on the defensive end.
I can tell you, and I would say most people would probably agree with this. Anytime you go down to state, people don't shoot the ball like they normally do. It's just like you said, bigger arena, different backdrop, different rims. Everything's different. And I don't remember too many teams that shot the ball as well in the state game than they do in the regular season. So it's always good to have other things, that you rely on to be able to get yourself past that. And it sounds like you guys definitely do. You got Claudia, you got Cecil kid, can you give us a couple more? Again, I know coaches hate answering this question because they want to talk about everybody, but we don't have a half hour to talk about that. But just give us a couple more kids besides those two that are going to be impact kids for you guys.
Two that really stand out to me and have been really playing well the back half of the season is junior Riley Concert. She's played well in particular the last couple of weeks. She had probably her best game of the season in the regional final. Dawson was phenomenal defensively and very physical. And, we kind of had to move some things around, and we ended up using Claudia more as a screener and, let Riley attack the basket. And then also the switch that we made in the second half defensively where Riley turns around and guarded Odessa Miller, who's a standout point guard for Dawson. She had a really good game. And, she's a very confident, carries herself really well. So I look for her to kind of answer the call this weekend on both ends of the floor. She's going to be given multiple tasks. And then Julie Evac, who is our senior post player, really probably our only girl that has, some solid size. And she's done a really good job. Definitely the back half of the season and in particular in this postseason, just being sound defensively, limiting post touches, and limiting other teams to one and done with her defensive rebounds. So those would be two names outside of the other two that you kind of already mentioned.
Coach, what is the weekend going to look like for you guys? I know you don't play till Friday afternoon. What's your guys' schedule kind of look like? What's planned? How are you guys going to go about the weekend?
Yeah, so good question. Thankfully, our AD, his son is the quarterback at the University of Auburn. Auburn. I can't even pronounce it. So we kind of took some info from them on terms of how they handle weekends. And we gave the kids an itinerary that's detailed out. Hey, here's where we're going. Here's where we're going to practice. Here's what we're going to eat. Here's what we're having. Number one, to give them so there's not everybody's in my ear. Hey, what are we doing next? But we're going to leave tomorrow. We want to get the kids down there. We're going to practice at Vidalia Butler. And then we're going to see the 8:00 game tomorrow night just to get into there to the arena, let the kids walk around the concourse, check out the game, and then just do that in a relaxed, fashion. And then Friday morning, we were able to find a practice facility that we're going to go through walkthrough to keep everything as routine as possible. And then we are going to go. We have box lunches, and then we're going to go check out the first game. Hopefully, get there at about 11:00. So again, the more time I feel that we spend inside is the better. And Coach Geiser just kind of mentioned that things can kind of speed up, and all of a sudden you get behind. So we allotted ourselves a lot of time, and hopefully that plan kind of works out how we're hoping it does on paper.
Yeah, I know that something that I really enjoy is seeing the community support, and I know that Buckeye Central has that because I've seen. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to your game Saturday night, but I have been at Perry when you guys were playing there, and it's insane. What is it like to play for a community like that they're going to make the trip to Dayton, and they're going to be backing you guys and supporting you guys? Like, what's that mean to your team?
It means a ton, and I'll say, and you kind of already hit on. People are fired up, man. They, the small communities. Present different things. I know that they're having tailgates. There's people that are already down there, taking RVs and campers. Basically every business in town is closing. So if you're looking to rob a bank, New Washington's probably your place to go. But it's really cool. And especially for these kids, you tell them, and they probably won't realize it until 10, 15, 20 years from now. But the opportunity in which they have and the community support is really, really cool. I can say that parents and community members are probably more nervous and anxious to get down there than probably we even are. And It's just kind of funny to see how adults get so engulfed and wrapped up in this thing. And it is really cool and something that they're going to value and have as memories for a really long time.
Coach, what are some things that, maybe even since Saturday or maybe going back a couple weeks that you kind of preach to a team that, hey, if we're going to make a run and we're going to get this win at state Final Four, we need to get better at this or that. What are some of those things for you guys?
Understanding that basketball is a game of runs, and Dalton made the first run the other night, and we called a timeout to kind of talk. We're just like, hey, we're playing a little bit too fast on both ends. And for us, to understand that there's going to be adversity this weekend. Everybody down here is down here for a reason. You're playing elite teams that are cream of the crop. So just, Coach Geiser said the same thing, staying composed, understanding the game and just kind of making adjustments on the fly because adjustments are going to have to be made. Everybody has a game plan going in, and sometimes that doesn't work out how you always think it's going to be. So I would say our composure, and making adjustments, and obviously ball control and taking care of the basketball is going to be crucial.
Coach, I appreciate your time. I know that it's really late at this point. We're about to hit 10:00, so I appreciate your time. And you won some bonus points from me with your hoodie. I like that hoodie. Big Cavs fan. So
wait till you see my kicks this weekend.
I'm a big shoe guy, so I'm gonna be watching.
I got the whole rotation with me.
Coach, I appreciate your time. I wish you nothing but the best this weekend. So good luck, and we'll see you.
Thanks, Rich. I'll see you this weekend.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep.
All right. Again, sorry that this did not go live. I don't know what happened. I'm going to have to try to figure that out. But again, made adjustments on the fly. So this got recorded. It will get posted. Thank you for everybody who's going to listen to this. I'll get that out there on Twitter and send it out to coaches. So again, thank you. Thanks to all the coaches. We had 11 of the 16 coaches that are going to be coaching this weekend. Huge thank you. I know your time is valuable right now. Again, I appreciate you guys coming on. I'm glad that we can make this happen the night before state finals start. So again, thanks to everybody. Do something good for somebody, treat others well, and please don't be